the brick stack high. Lego Batman swoops, lighting up the sky. Legacy of the Dark Knight, looking so fine. Got that reggae rhythm, games divine. Click clack, plastic capes in the breeze. Villains trembling, falling to their knees. From Arkham's ashes, a Lego star's born. This game's so hot, it's Rasta reborn. Oh, Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Rastabat Cave with a brick built vibe. Lego Dark Knight keeping hope alive. Batarang snapping, built from Lego blocks. Penguins waddling, but he's out of stock. Suicide Squad tried, but he crashed and burned. Should have been like this, man, lessons learned. GTA 6, Vice City's looking shook. Lego Batman's got them shook in their books. A toy game taking Arkham's holy grail. Tasty Capes winning, that's the funny tale. Oh, Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Rastabat Cave with a brick built vibe. Lego Dark Knight keeping hope alive. Yo, Rocksteady, what happened, man? Your squad game flop, left us all withdrawn. Lego's got the mantle, carrying the flame. A brick built Batman running the game. GTA 6 calling, yo, we're scared. Lego Bruce Wayne got 'em unprepared. Jah bless the bricks, this game's the one. 2026, Batman's having too much fun. Oh, Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Fade out with the bass in the Gotham light. Lego Batman, Irie taking flight.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
I drove my rusty pickup to the local game store door. Starfield gleamed upon the shelf, couldn't wait no more. Todd Howard spun his stories of galaxies afar, but when I fired up that game, I didn't get too far. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your little lies. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me feeling like just another fool. They boasted endless planets, each one unique and new. But after planet number 3, I'd felt deja vu. The critics didn't love it, gave it mediocre scores. Just another space misfire, echoed across the board. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your little lies. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. epic battles, but the AI wouldn't fight. Characters were wooden and the dialogue was trite. Todd promised me the cosmos, but left me in the dust. Now I'm trading in this game, it's betrayed my trust. Oh, Todd, you weaved a fable of worlds beyond compare, but all I got were glitches and load screens everywhere. Still, somehow I'm considering when the next game's nigh, 'cause hope's a stubborn thing, and I'll give it one more try. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your sweet little lies. I fell for all your deceptions, like I always do. Todd left me sat here, wishing the things he said were true.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I've missed you. How are you? How are you? I will say, I always find it funny when people come into chat and they're like, wait, is this AI? Like, do you really think a group of talented musicians got together and produced these songs? Like, sat down, put their hard work and dedication towards comedy songs around Lego Batman and Todd Howard? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, probably not. How are you guys doing? Did any of you guys do we have any veterans of the Peanut War in here? Any survivors? Anybody coming back from a tough fight? Do we have any survivors? If you're like, what the hell are you talking about, Luke? We'll get to it because it was crazy. Yeah, the Peanut War. You didn't hear about this? Oh man. So I can get straight into it. Chunk, thank you for the new membership, by the way. 3,000 Tarda, thank you for the membership as well. Appreciate you. So we all know Arc Raiders, right? I guess I can do this. New segment. Okay. So we all know about Arc Raiders. It's popping off. It's huge and people are playing it and loving it. You know, it's the game where this type of thing can happen. This is posted by Jordan. About to extract, gets turned into goo. No! That would hurt. That would be just enough to make me want to scream. So Arc Raiders doing very well. It's popping off. But there is a huge subset of the gaming community, of course, that are tied to streamers, to the big guys playing the games, broadcasting it on Twitch, on Kick, whatever. And a war broke out. A war broke out over the weekend. Tragically, frankly. Lots of people, lots of innocents were caught in the crossfire. One of the biggest streamers, if not the biggest streamer right now in the gaming space, is somebody we've actually looked at previously, The Burnt Peanut. This is him speaking to his supporters. He was actually just nominated for a game award, actually, which is really funny because he technically counts as a VTuber, which is so funny to me because most VTubers are like, you know, oh, so kawaii. You're like, they're like, they're appealing to a subset of viewers with like very, very girly anime avatars. And maybe it's simping, maybe, I don't know. I personally don't get it. But the Burnt Peanut is sort of a distant cousin exactly of Angry Orange from back in the day. but he has taken the streaming world by storm, and he created an army that was going up against another army of fans of other streamers. So basically what happened is a bunch of streamers decided to get their communities together. Each member of like each team would wear the skin, the cosmetic for that army. And then when you went in to play a round of Arc Raiders, if you saw somebody wearing the peanut, like burnt peanut army skin, you knew that you could trust them if you were on that same army. Same with people wearing skins of other, you know, streamers and communities. And so it created basically a massive war within the game that if you are not terminally online, you had no idea what was going on. But it basically created a mini war within the game itself, which is pretty funny. Now, the problem came because the burnt peanut is so huge that he was apparently struggling to find servers and lobbies that were not just flooded with his fans. And I tried booting up, and sure enough, the majority of players were repping the burnt peanut. As you can see, so his team and army was called the Bungalators. They're so big as a team that they're struggling to find lobbies with anyone from the opposing team in them. And this is just a clip. They found one guy who was not on their army, on their team, and this is what happened to him.
You have chosen the right side of history. Boys, line up! Arms and ready! 3, 2, 1, let them have it! I got the crossfire and died instantly. If you have chosen...
So there were apparently a lot of people in the server or in the game that had no idea what was going on, and we're just like, what the hell is happening? Like, what are we doing? But that's what happens when you cross the burnt peanut. You get burnt, okay? You get burnt. So that all was going down. Eventually, it settled out. Funnily enough, there were even outlets like Insider Gaming that were having to do update articles on like, what is happening with the Battle of the Bungarators? But it settled. It leveled out. You know, eventually peace was found, not through capitulation, but through strength. And Burnt Peanut was able to declare victory.
Sweeping victory for the Bungalators on this fine day, November 22nd, 2025.
No! I don't recognize it, but for now, until we have the ability to fight mano a mano, I shall live in peace and not try to cross borders anymore.
I think that is a very humble decision, Mr. Hutch, leader of the Hutchian army.
But if you come near my land, Peanut, I will spark this rebellion again. You hear me?
What? Okay.
So, peace has been found. Peace has been found. Probably not for long. But what I find really fascinating about this, okay, it's like setting all that aside, now that you kind of understand the context, the biggest like multiplayer games of the last 2 years have been games, I would argue it's specifically been Arc Raiders and Helldivers. Like in terms of viral popularity, came kind of out of nowhere, exploded into mass fandom. Both because they're very good games. They're also different from almost anything else on the market in their presentation. They might be like vaguely similar in genre, but they do a lot of things differently. But beyond that, they also just so happen to get into these spats where they have like meta narratives around them. In the case of course, Helldivers, it was designed that way, where they had the whole idea was that players all work together to achieve like pushing down the robots over here, then you push down the bugs over there, you move to this planet, and you like coordinate together to achieve meta objectives together as a community. And that was designed that way. With this, it just happened. Like the community just had this idea to declare war across different streamers and their communities, and it ended up creating like a giga event within the game over the weekend, and the devs didn't have to do a damn thing. Didn't have to do a damn thing. But I think that is what people are really, really looking for. Like community is a word that gets thrown around a lot in games. Like, you know, you watch the development videos of somebody at Call of Duty HQ and they're like, yeah, well, we designed this game with the cat cafe and that will give people a sense of community. And yeah, we could have fixed like the movement exploits and the hacking, but we actually created a system where you can order a cappuccino within the game while you're in the middle of war. And we think that's cozy and what people are looking for to get community. Like the stupidest stuff ever, because they don't understand what like a real community is. They understand like a fake plastic community, but they don't really get it. What people crave is this kind of thing. People crave being part of something bigger than themselves, for sure, but they also just want to have fun doing a stupid thing like fighting in a war with a burnt peanut, you know? Like sometimes it doesn't need to be that complicated. It can be stupid. It's okay. They just want to be fighting with other bungalators against other streamer audience, fan bases, whatever. It's dumb, but it's funny and it's a good time. And this, I think, you know, to every game developer out there who's thinking of working on live service stuff, like this, I think is the real secret weapon. If you can build a game that can unify players in a sort of meta narrative, then you're popping off. Maybe not for 5 years straight, but I do think that's the key. Because it's something that both of the biggest games of the last 2 years in this space, in the live service space, that exploded in popularity, meme-worthiness, everything, both of them have managed to achieve this like meta narrative thing. And in the case of Arc Raiders, it, like I said, was designed. Here, I think it's just the talent of a few big streamers that had this idea and pulled it off. I mean, the idea of a burnt peanut coming together, standing in front of a presidential podium with the seal of the president of the United States, Apache helicopters. That's just funny. It's just funny. Okay. It's stupid, but it's funny. So it probably won't last forever, but it's a good time, you know? Yeah, we all pledge allegiance to the peanut as one must. So like, dude, we were playing Arc Raiders last night and there were people that like when you would run into them at the extraction, and you know, most people are like, are you friendly? Just to check in if we're going to have a fight or if we can just extract for fun. And people would be like, do you walk with the burnt one? Are you burnt or no? Like it's permeated across the entire game now. But those inside jokes and stuff, that's what people love. I love it. I find it freaking hilarious. It's a cult. Yeah, but it's funny and it works, dude. And Marathon said, no, we don't need that. Yeah, but maybe, no, Death 13 Horsemen. Take a moment, pause, appreciate that. Also, by the way, I realize YouTube changed this. It changed your like selected username into now it just shows me your handles. So I know you by other names. I'm just saying what YouTube is showing me now. Anyway, but appreciate that. Marathon wasn't going to have proximity chat at all until Arc Raiders came along and showed that like, no, you kind of need it. People like it and want it. They were going to say, sorry, not sorry. Suck it up. That's crazy. Just when we spoke to the designers of the game back in like April, when I went out to the studio and we asked about prox chat, they said, no, we're worried about toxicity and we're not sure we can police it. It was like, what are you talking about? And then you see what Arc Raiders has been able to do almost exclusively because of proximity chat and the dynamics that can pop up because of that, because you're able to talk to somebody and have these inside jokes over the burnt peanut one, the burnt one. Like, it's crazy, dude. The idea that they were going to intentionally forego moments like this because they were worried occasionally people might use bad words.
If you have chosen the right side of history, boys, line up, arms at ready. 3, 2, 1, let 'em have it.
Literally, none of this would be doable. None of it would be doable if there were no prox chat. And that was something Bungie was willingly going to forego. It's insane. It's insane. Like, how out of touch do you have to be with the gaming community to bypass this because you're worried about some bad words? Like, bro, what are we doing? What are we doing? And to their credit, I know people meme on like the big streamers and big streamers are ruining games. Every single one of the big streamers that was at that marathon event at Bungie HQ, all of them were like, bro, what? Add prox chat. You need prox chat. What are you talking about? You're worried about toxicity? Add a mute button. Like, all of them were like, what the hell are we doing? What the hell are we doing? So it's just dumb. But shout out to Burn Peanut. Not that he needs my help at this point. And shout out to the Arc Raiders community. This was freaking hilarious. Some people are worried that people are worried that this is going to cannibalize the entire game. It very well might. It is kind of bizarre. They posted sorry, this is funny. They posted this artwork of a bunch of peanuts with spears, and then he's the general standing before them with the crown. It might cannibalize the game. It very well could. Some people are like, I got home from work, I just want to play the game, and I'm having random people run up to me and ask me if I walk with the burnt one. I don't know what's going on. And you know what? That is fair. I'm sure it's very confusing if you don't know what's going on, and it's exhausting, sure. Some people just want to put the fries in the bag, you know, I get that. But this is the thing with living, breathing games with massive followings and communities built around them, is that you're going to have some of that. You're going to have some of that. So maybe now, you'll know. If you're playing Arc Raiders tonight, or maybe even now, and you run into somebody talking about a peanut, and previously you had no idea what they were talking about, now you know, in case somehow you had not heard yet. But there you go. Main takeaway, though, you need prox chat. Moments like this are what blow your game up into the stratosphere of popularity. And that's because of games like, or elements like prox chat. And I think that these big meta narratives and overarching narratives that kick themselves up around some of these new live service games, that's what is really the new meta. Extraction shooters, yeah, they're popular. That's certainly something to look into. But the big hook are meta narratives that develop over the game, tying communities together. That's the key. It's trickier to pull off, but if you can do it, I mean, pretty clearly you can have a lot of success, and you'll be looking like this, riding all the way to the bank in your I don't know what a fancy car is, in your G-Wagon. That's a fancy car, right? G-Wagon, in your G-Wagon, your Gwagon. There you go. That is the battle of the peanut. Dude, the other 2 nights ago we were playing Arc Raiders, me and Nikki, and straight up, we like the whole map, we could have sworn it was empty. And we ran to the extraction, to the elevator. We called it in. The lights start going. We hide off in a bush. And I kid you not, we were playing duos. There were 8 people, 4 separate teams that came out of the literal woodwork. You friendly? You're friendly? We're friendly. Okay, we're friendly. And they all like came down. And there were like 10 of us in that elevator extracting. It was insane. It was crazy, but everybody was friendly. Everybody came in, hopped on the elevator. We went out. totally chill. It was bizarre. It was bizarre, but it was really good. It was really good. So Crimson Desert crashed at the OTK showcase. We worried? I mean, I wouldn't say at this point. It is very, very normal for games to have performance issues before launch, and frankly, the game is not done yet. I don't know if they've even gotten gold yet, but no, it's pretty normal. It's pretty normal, especially because you're talking about like drivers haven't been finalized from NVIDIA and AMD. It's very normal early on, which is why nowadays, like, you very rarely see demos done live. Typically you'll see like pre-rendered trailers, not pre-rendered, pre-captured trailers and stuff. But no, that's pretty normal. It's pretty normal. If it happens like a week before launch, then I'm paying more attention. But as of right now, I wouldn't stress too much. Yeah. I can't believe how many clowns I come across saying friendly and fire. I think what they're doing now, Captain, this is, and then we got some other stuff to talk about, but this is a suspicion of mine. Because I noticed that the more I played Arc Raiders and I was like interacting with players and we were staying peaceful, it seemed that more and more and more of the people I was interacting with were also friendly and would stay friendly. And so I think what they're doing is they're tracking when you interact with players, and then they're tracking if you get in a violent engagement after that. And there's like behind the scenes, under the hood, there's some stat. There's like a reputation score or something that they're using. And they are then matching friendly players up with friendly players more and unfriendly players with more unfriendly players. I think that that's what's starting to happen, and it's going to take some more time as like the weeks and months go by. But I think that's what's happening, because I was talking to a buddy of mine, and straight up, I don't play games like this with him because he is toxic. Like, he's the guy that goes, yeah, no, I'm totally friendly, and then right at extraction jumps them and steals all their stuff. Super toxic. I just don't play the games with him. But he was telling me everybody he encounters is super, super toxic and does that, which is why he also does it. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, last night we were playing, I think we had one betrayal the entire night. And like, they were stupid to do it. They had like starting gear, but like that was it. One betrayal out of however many matches and players that we encountered. And so it's like, our experiences are so different. I'm betting they're tracking it. I'm betting that they are like keeping some reputational score, and they're putting toxic players with toxic players, and they're putting more friendly players with more friendly players. Of course, there's still going to be some crossover. You'll end up with toxic players being nice. You'll end up with nice players being toxic. But I think that's what's starting to happen. Because otherwise, I don't really know how to explain, other than just like happenstance, how different the experiences can be, you know? The idea of Jor being toxic in a game like this is kind of funny, because I think he'd be like the most not toxic, but maybe that's the thing. Because like, he's playing these games in a bathtub, like he's super chill, you know? Would you really call people doing PvP toxic? No, specifically, it's fine if you want to engage. Like, we ran into somebody last night and they just said, nope, we came to kill or be killed, I think is what he yelled. And that's funny, and that's totally fine. What's toxic is when you tell people we're friendly, you get them to come in under the guise of being friendly, and then you jump them. That's toxic. Like, that's just toxic. You know? Like, if you want to fight it out, that's cool. That's why we call out friendly. And if you tell me, no, came to kill or be killed. Okay, chill. Let's do it. Let's fight it out. May the best man win. That's fine. But if you're going to like lie to me and just be a toxic piece of crap, I get to be upset. Speaking of being upset, they're doing another play test. They're announcing another closed technical test, but still no release date or update officially.
At C. Buzzman donated $9.99
Mr. Buzzman.
through Super Chat. Just out of curiosity, what's been your fav game between Baldur's Gate 3, E33 and KCD2? I've only played E33 and just finished it last night and I was blown away.
It is a really hard question. Baldur's Gate 3 for me is like a once every 15 to 20 year game. It's that special. So for me, Baldur's Gate 3, I think, is still above all the others. As for which I prefer over like Expedition 33 or KCD2, dude, I am still wrestling with that because I love them both a ton, but for different reasons. So I don't know. I'm still so conflicted, but I freaking love both of them for different reasons. And I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. Luke, how will the state of Ubisoft affect the great mathematics of Teriology? That's a great question. I think if they start using Teriology in their financial reports, things could turn around really quickly. So maybe that's worth investigating for them. Dude, I still cannot get over how, like, for anybody that's not familiar, I'll be very, 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 very brief. But Teriology, it's that guy, Terrence Howard, who's an actor, Terrence Howard. He was on like Empire and he was in one of the Iron Man movies before he lost his mind. Dude's just unhinged. Like, he literally thinks he's invented a new mathematics and that 1 × 1 = 2. Because one action times an action creates 2 actions, which is cool and all, but like they're numbers, they're not actions. Like, what are you talking about? Like, so he's actually lost his mind. But we did like 2 years ago or whenever this dropped, 3 years ago, 2 years, I don't know. Whenever this dropped, we did like a little reaction because it came up on stream. We looked at it. The clip went crazy, did like 100,000 views at a time where none of our clips did anything like that. And bro, his fans like flooded in that comment section and were like, clearly you just don't understand his brilliance. Like, I had never in my life seen so many people that were so convinced they were special. It was shocking. It was shocking. Some people I'm sure were memeing and were being stupid and being like, no, he's a genius. He totally is super smart. But bro, like, all of his stuff was just insane. And he had people that were trying to defend it and being like, yeah, that's really, really smart. Like this one, I want to develop a new hydrogen technology in Uganda.
I was born Terrence Deshaun Howard. I've become an actor. You know, I've been nominated for Oscars and Golden Globes and SAG Awards. But those weren't the things that really moved me. As a child, I studied chemical engineering at Pratt Institute, was there for 2 years until I saw that there was an inconsistency with the math there. And so I went out to explore a new way of understanding how the universe worked, and I was able to define the grand unified field equation they've been looking for and put it into geometry. And then with that geometry, I was able to put props on that. And what I'm saying is now we have invented a new form of flight that I would like to bring here to Uganda to replace the drones, to replace the helicopters, to replace the planes. We have all the funding necessary. What we need is just a fertile ground in which to build this. Now, this is the geometry of hydrogen.
He's a genius, dude. Yeah, dude. I don't, man, I think this is what happens when you have a God complex to begin with. Okay. So like, he just by his nature has God complex and thinks he is like a gift to mankind. And then it's also this like weird celebrity culture too, where he's been built up and everybody around him is like, that's brilliant. That's great. That's great. If one of my friends was talking to me like this, I'd be like, no, dumbass. 1 × 1 is not 2. You're so so stupid. Like, we would make fun of them. The bullying would adjust it, you know? But there's nothing like that here. Like, he's been allowed to just ramble for years. This is the confidence of a man who has never had to produce something of value to the society that has enabled him. This is me rushing a high school project that I don't have enough time for research. So I just string up random scientific words and try to make the word limit. Oh, man. I, too, have invented a new math. I use the geometry of another basic element, oxygen. We measure the oxygen with a tape measure. It shows that it expands to whatever size I extend the tape. 25 feet, there's still air. How can this be? If I put two tape measures together and go in opposite directions, there's still air. We must harness this limitless element and convert it into power. Thank you, people of Wakanda, for giving me this platform. Bro, it's just... it's so stupid. It's so stupid. But, and like, I thought when we first talked about it that it was just everybody could see that it was stupid. But seriously, there are probably thousands of people out there that watch all of his clips and like, he is brilliant. He is stunning, brave, and beautiful. And don't understand it, because I think it's like the flat earth thing. They want to feel exceptional, and so they follow somebody that makes them feel exceptional, you know. I think that that's what it is, but it's just shocking. Yeah, well, it's like the old saying, if you can't dazzle them with your brilliance, baffle them with your bullshit. And I think in that case he's baffling. He does a great job of it. Edgar, thank you for the 5. I don't think you can bully that level of stupid. I'm no expert, but there's no geometry in chemistry. That's just because your mind hasn't been opened. I think he went on Joe Rogan and talked for like 3 hours. 3 hours of that. And it's just like, you'll say that doesn't make sense. And he's like, no, I have to unfold the geometry of the universe. When you unfold it, you discover a new geometry, a new shape that's never been discovered. Dude, he went on The View.
At Luke Smith 9723 donated $9.99 through Super Chat. Poop.
Poop indeed. That's what we're dealing with here. That's what we're dealing with here. It's like, where's the clip? Because he went on The View. And like, oh, he even does it in this Uganda clip that we've just had. He has these like little cutout things. Where is it? Does he show them? No, they just show him in the thumbnail. He has like little shapes and stuff that he's cut out. And he's like, I've invented a new geometry. And it's just literally like a triangle. But like, this is what happens when he goes on the red carpet and talks like this.
15 episodes of Empire. You got to walk away for a while or forever?
They're like, let's talk about your show.
I mean, everyone keeps trying to tell me, don't say it's forever. But I've spent 37 years pretending to be people so that people can pretend to watch and enjoy what I'm doing, when I've made some discoveries in my own personal life with the science that, you know, Pythagoras was searching for. I was able to open up the flower of life properly and find the real wave conjugations that we've been looking for 10,000 years. Why would I continue, you know, walking on water for tips when I've got an...
Walking on water for tips. Like, again, like he literally thinks he's Jesus Christ. Like, again, it's crazy, dude. If you ever want to go down that rabbit hole, go for it. It's insane. You may not survive, because it just never stops. It never stops. So, and again, the interviewer's like, wow, that's great. love that. It's fantastic. It's really good. Oh my God. Okay. Do you guys want to talk about other drama that happened over the weekend? Want to talk about other drama? I love drama. News I meant. Luke, I think I can't read. Alcahest will be better than Elder Scrolls 6. This is not going to come as a surprise. I'm not that optimistic about Elder Scrolls 6. Yeah. Shocking. I know. Shocking. Not that optimistic. Don't have a lot of confidence, I'll tell you what. Replaying Spider-Man remastered on PC this time. Such a great game. Yeah, dude, it's a vibe. That first game is a vibe. The second game is just kind of weird. It feels off, but still a good time. It's just like something's off. But yeah. I know you guys are shocked. I know. Try to keep it contained. The Players Archive, thank you for the resub, by the way, and Redilus also thank you. But the people on the internet tell me gaming isn't fun anymore. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's just. Thankfully, now we're at the point where a lot of those like really miserable people have just taken my advice and just started making fun of them and like teasing them. Like people have stopped calling Grums like a culture warrior and now just call him like a scammer and stuff. And like that's I think the proper tact, because like they're not actually like, they're the most miserable people. Okay, they're the most miserable people. Okay. Let me tell you about this. So there was a bit of misreporting, I would say, that went out over the course of the end of last week going into the weekend. And I think it's important to bring up because it's really crucial that people maintain a cautious and skeptical eye for things, especially nowadays, because the economy of clicks is stronger than ever, and news outlets will be very fast and loose with headlines, with reporting based almost exclusively on like a thread if they think that they can get something sensational out of it. So even if something is just said in passing, it can blow up into a whole story. So what was I talking about? Well, this article was shared with me. Somebody was like, bro, is this true? Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, reportedly releasing in 2026. From Insider Gaming too. Insider Gaming, Tom Henderson, the guy that runs it, does have a ton of sources, is very accurate, and does really, really good work. Tom Henderson is great. But to keep his website going, he's hired additional writers who help him write and produce articles and stuff for the website. And there have been numerous occasions where their reporting has left a lot to be desired, in my humble opinion. Like there was a case, let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Where there was a case months ago where there was a report from Insider Gaming where they were saying that Assassin's Creed Shadows franchise director, a guy named Marc-Alexis Gauthier, where he was saying that AC Shadows was like the worst thing they'd ever made. And there was an article posted to Insider Gaming echoing this sentiment, and it's just straight up not what Mark said. In the interview that they referenced as evidence for that claim, Mark said that people who are new to game development work on projects, and when they're working on something, they go, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever done. This is the worst thing I've ever made. But then as you finish the project, they see, even if it feels dark at one point in development, eventually it comes together and you can make something amazing. But that valley is a normal thing. Development is peaks and valleys. And that's the sentiment he was going for. But it was twisted into an article that mentioned even Ubisoft says AC Shadows is the worst thing they've ever made. And everybody started running with the headline, even though it was literally fake news. It just was not true. So I tweeted out and like we called attention to it. Tom stepped in, addressed it, fixed it, shut it down. But by that point, the article had already spread across the internet, and I still see people reference that today. People still point to that. Even though it was debunked and literally based on nothing, people still point to that and go, well, even Ubisoft said it was the worst thing they ever made, when it's just literally not true. That's why standards are important. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh, what? It's releasing in 2026. That goes against not just like common sense, but it also goes against other reporting. And this would be very surprising. Very surprising if it ended up being true. So I, and probably not that many other people, frankly, a lot of people just look at the headline, but I clicked on the link and it reports on this. You'll see there's an update, but we'll get to that in a second. But you can see that it references specifically a clip from the Dan Allen Gaming podcast, it's from the Dan Allen Gaming podcast with Colin Moriarty. And there is a moment where he talks about the game. Now listen to this, okay?
So I think we just have to see. I think we'll see. I believe we'll see it at the Game Awards
this year.
And yeah, I think so.
Oh, don't get me hyped, man. Shit.
And,
really? And you reckon it'll come out next year or 27?
I think next year it'll be good to go. But maybe they will delay it. But yeah, I mean, based on the way they're hiring and also things I'm hearing about, people interacting with the game, but also they're hiring for like localization now and all that. It's like they're getting into the end. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a good sign. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great sign. It's a sign that everything's kind of locked down and content complete. So I'm sure there's a lot of work to be done. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was out this time next year. No, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think
when did Naughty Dog usually release their games?
The Last of Us was June. The Last of Us Part 2 was June or July.
It was June. Yeah.
Uncharted 1 was fall. Uncharted 2 was the winter. Uncharted 3 was November. So yeah, they release sometimes they just release when they're ready to go. And often they're releasing off of a delay. So that's what happened with Uncharted 4. That's happened with The Last of Us Part 2.
So that is what was clipped. And then from that, the report, or what the article says, is that he's reporting that it is done and we'll see it at the Game Awards. And so this goes out, gets pressed and distributed as it's been reported. Now, there is a definition for the word reportedly, which means that it has to be reported to be reportedly. What he does in this clip is literally just states his opinion. Well, listen to it again.
So I think we just have to see. I think we'll see. My personal
opinion, I believe
we'll see it at the Game Awards
this year.
And yeah, I think so.
Oh, don't get me hyped.
And what he proceeds to do is outline how, based on their hiring, based on these other factors, the localization starting up, he thinks it's very likely. He says, I wouldn't be surprised if it's out by this time next year. Based on those things. He's not reporting. He's not saying I have a source that says this. He's speculating, giving out his personal opinion, which is what we all do. If I come up here and I say, yeah, personally, in my opinion, I think Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be a mess, and I think it's not coming out until 2028. Probably more like 2029. If this were the standard, it would be, insider confirms that Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out 2029 and is a disaster. And it's like, no, it's just literally my opinion. I'm just talking about, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So people started running with this, okay? People started really running with this, even though it's just speculation. And asking other journalists for comment and all this. So Jeff Grubb has to come out and say it will not be shown at the Game Awards. And you can see Clawsome Gamer tweets this out. Intergalactic Heretic Prophet is already complete in terms of content and will be shown at the Game Awards this year, says Colin Moriarty. Literally not what he said. He says, yeah, in my personal opinion, I think it could be shown at the Game Awards. It's not saying it will be. He also did not say it's content complete. He said right now they're hiring for localization, which shows they're toward this, the end, getting close to content complete, like if that's where they're actually at in development. He's not reporting that it's content complete. Like, again, it's crazy. It's crazy. But what happens is that outlets like this, I'm not familiar with Clawsome Gamer personally. Looks like a startup, individual just trying to retweet gaming news, but this will not get you a large following. This type of reporting, well, maybe it will. This type of reporting will not get you a lot of respect in the industry, and will not get you good sources, will not get you access to what you want, because it's just not true. It's literal fake news for clicks. It's just not accurate. So Colin, appropriately, came forward and said, I am the source of this, based on opinions I expressed on another person's podcast when asked what I thought about the game and its potential timeline. If you listen to the clip they're citing, I literally say that's my opinion. and it's otherwise blatantly obvious, I'm speculating. I think we'll see, wouldn't be surprised. I mean, really? Reporting that conversation as anything else is wildly disingenuous. I don't know why outlets do this to me and many others all the time, but one thing is certain, I'm in for a lot of abuse now for no reason. Much appreciated. And yeah, it is insane. I think it's that Colin has name recognition, so there's that. I think a lot of gaming journalists also listen to a lot of what Colin says. They listen to the podcast he goes on, so they're very in tune with what is being said when he goes and says stuff. And it's also because he's sort of a polarizing figure in the industry. People who like him will be like, oh, cool, let me see what he said. And people who don't like him will see what he says. And if he's misconstrued, they could then use that as ammunition for why they don't like him and be like, oh, yeah, no, he doesn't know anything. See, get it out of here. And and so this starts spreading. Jason Schreier has to come out on, I think, Reddit, and he clarified it's not coming out in 2026, despite rumors stating that they're coming out in 2026. Which at least rumors is more accurate. I mean, it's closer. It was just speculation. It's not even rumors. Like, it was just my personal opinion, but at least that's closer than saying it's confirmed. You know, I can assure you that Intergalactic is not coming out or isn't coming out in 2026 because people familiar with games development timeline have told me it's not coming out in 26, which I think is, I mean, that makes sense. I thought it was shocking to think that it's coming out in 26, especially when we know that they already sort of have a big tentpole release for next fall, which is Wolverine.
9,580 donated $10 through Super Chat. Breaking news. Elder Scrolls 6 will be a generational leap for Bethesda and release date is 2032. Luke Stevens reports.
Lock it in, confirmed. Lock it in. Yeah. Dude, it low-key would be really funny if a journal or a gaming outlet or journal or whatever took a segment from stream and then tried to use it as like evidence and reporting. That would be really funny. Because it's just so stupid. Like, it's so patently ridiculous, but that's where we're at. Like, they go and they're clipping stuff like this and then running with it as if it's true, as if it's real. It's ridiculous. And again, it's fine to speculate. That's what most of us do when we're talking about games, because we don't know. This type of thing is very normal. It's fine. It's what we will do when we're chatting about games all the time.
We just have to see. I think we'll see. I believe we'll see it at the Game Awards
this year.
And
just like right now, I believe we're going to see an announcement for season 2 of Dispatch at the Game Awards. That's what I personally believe. I think that that's going to happen. It made too much money. It's too big of a hit for them to not do something. And I think especially they can go to Jeff and just say, hey, we got a little something. Can you show it? I would not be shocked at all. That's what I think. That is not me confirming that I have a source that it's going to be shown at the Game Awards. Okay. Like, it's just not. It's just not. And so all this starts spreading. All this happens. Blah, blah, blah. The community notes go up. And start clarifying that this is not accurate, but the damage is done, not just to Colin's credibility, unfortunately, when he literally didn't do anything wrong. Now people are going to point to this, be like, yeah, well, you said Intergalactic was coming out in 26, because they didn't see this, or they saw this headline, they kept scrolling, and they forgot about it. But all they remember is this, and that Colin said it. And it's just not accurate. It's just not accurate. You know, it's because what's the old saying? It's like it takes a lie can circle the globe in the time it takes the truth to get out of bed, something like that. Because lies can spread quickly, but the truth and the correction to it is way slower and way less efficient. And it's just dumb. It's bad. And again, this is not the first time this has happened with Insider Gaming. And Tom, if you somehow see this, like, we got to figure this out. We got to figure this out, man. Because there's now been multiple occasions, at least that I'm aware of people that work for you that are saying things and reporting things and putting headlines out that are just factually false. It was not reported at all. Putting reportedly is just journalistic malpractice. Okay, it is disingenuous, and it's I think deceptive. And it's playing with other people's reputations too, which is what's really slimy about it. So I think you got to figure this out. You got to address it and deal with it, because it's happened multiple times. I don't know if, I actually wonder if I can look it up. I wonder if I can find that article. Let's see. I wonder if I can find that article where they misquoted the Assassin's Creed stuff, because I wonder if it's the same guy that they hired. It would be really interesting if it was the same dude. I wonder. It must have been before AC Shadows, though. I think. It'd be crazy if it was the same dude, because he only has like 2 or 3 people working with him. I'm not sure. We'll find it. Jordan's song number was 7202-2027 backwards. So I think Naughty Dog didn't make this coincidence and knew 27 would be the release date. Well, literally, so to be clear, what they are doing is they are looking at the hiring and then inferring from that they are at a certain point in development. And so what they're effectively doing is they're saying, okay, you're hiring people that are working on localization. So they're working on like adding in new languages and reworking dialogue and stuff. And that usually happens at this stage of development. So we can infer, if they're at this point where they're hiring people to change languages and to do that they are at this point, and we can assume that based on that the game should be out at this time if we project it forward. That's at least what they're trying to do. And I can understand that, but some games are like, it takes 22 months to get the localization stuff done. Others, it can take 12 months. Others, it takes 30 months, and they start it really early. It's just all over the place. But instead, like, and again, it's fine to speculate based on that. That's totally fine. The problem is when then the speculation is taken as fact, when it's just not, it's just not. It's weird going back through some of these replies and seeing like December, November of last year. Yeah, I think this this is it. I found it. So it was taken in this article. I think they retitled the article, because I don't think this was the original title. No, it's Brandon Morgan. It's a different guy. And he hasn't posted anything since May. He's a contributor for them. So maybe he got fired or something. But this was the thing. So let's see. Yeah, it was. Yeah, in the article. So this, I had to type it out here because they edited the article, so it's lost. But in the article, you say, according to Mark Alexis Cote, the game's internal evaluation isn't promising either. The team behind Shadows considers this entry to be the weakest in the entire Assassin's Creed franchise. But he literally didn't say this in the interview that they reference, because they're pointing to this, and it's like, think for 2 freaking seconds. If he is in a public forum, why would he talk about, why would he talk so openly about how bad the game is? Like, what are you suggesting? Like it's insane. And so like I was like, he doesn't say this. I listened to the entire hour-long talk and he never said anything like that. And it was just false. And so you can see, again, Tom, to his credit, came in. This article originally used a report from the Outer Haven that claimed the company considers Shadows the weakest entry in the series. That has been removed due to no evidence of that being said or reported. Sorry, it's just funny because it's like there's literally no evidence that anybody ever said that, but like people are running with it. We apologize for the oversight and will ensure it does not happen again. That quote regarding junior developers remains, as that is accurate. Yeah, that smaller quote is accurate. That was not the problem. The problem was saying that he said stuff that he just never said, you know? But, and so like they can't address it when it does come up, but they gotta like get on it. And this is happening again, where something that was not said is being treated as if it was said and twisted in this way. And it's just dumb. It's just freaking dumb. And it's crazy. But I remember talking with somebody after this whole thing went down, because see, 1.2K likes, they got lots of engagement on the article. I tried to correct it because it was crazy. They had corrected it based on being called out, at least in part by me. But the damage is already done. This spreads around and there's still people that reference that. There's still people that reference that to this day. So it's why it's so crucial that this type of thing is, it just doesn't happen, period. Editor's notes and like corrections are fine. And you need to do those. But you gotta, I mean, it just can't happen to begin with. Because again, if you're going to call out companies like Ubisoft, as they very, very often deserve to be called out, credibility is important. And once like we've established that occasionally you'll just run with stuff that is not true because it fits the narrative, it means we can't necessarily take like anything you're saying confidently because you're willing to run with fake stuff as well. So I hope they address it. I hope Tom comes out and apologizes to Colin. Maybe he already has at this point, at least in private, but they gotta figure that out because it's bad. It's bad. So there you go. That's what's going on with it. That's the deal. And now you're informed, but just a reminder, be cautious, guys, be cautious, because this type of thing, excuse me, happens a lot. It's really too bad. And you got to think critically when it comes to this stuff, because writers and outlets who are just trying to get engagement will say a lot of stuff and run very fast and loose with it, because it gets engagement, not necessarily because it's true, you know. Anyway, most of the time those editors' notes come far too late, for sure. It's why I'm overly skeptical of every article and every leak. Well, yeah, well, I mean, how many people are gonna read an article like on some leak or something and then go back and just check it a week later? Like, nobody does that. You read it, you're done with it, and you move on. But like instead what happens is it's like, okay, literally nonsense that is based in just assertions. Nobody has any sources for any of it. And then after everybody reads it and they get lots of engagement, they're like, oh, by the way, this is totally made up. But everybody's already read the book, closed it, moved on with their day. And so it's just too little too late. So yeah. But I remember after that happened, I was talking to somebody who was involved with Ubisoft, and they were like, yeah, I mean, what if we come out and say that that's not true? Everybody then attacks us, and it's like you're just trying to cover up for it when it is true. You're just trying to play defense. They're like, we just have to kind of sit on the sidelines and act like everything's, just don't acknowledge it, don't talk about it when it's like patently ridiculously false. And if we go and we send like if we try to file a lawsuit for whatever it would be, misinformation, for libel or defamation, whatever it would be, I don't even know if they could do that, but like if we try to take legal action for them spreading falsities and stuff harming our business, then everybody attacks us also. Like there's just no solution. There's no solution, you know. I'm not saying that they would have done that, but the point that they were trying to make is there's nothing that we can do. Like, they can just lie and make stuff up, and we can't do anything. And so, like, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? And sometimes the nonsense is like positive and nice. Like the Expedition 33 stuff, they were not like 33 devs, all former Ubisoft. Like, a few of them worked for Ubisoft for a while. Most of the people working on Expedition 33 had never made a video game before. Like, their head of tech worked at an Uber competitor before working at Sandfall. Like, but the narrative and the vibe is really nice to think that they're former Ubisoft player or developers, and that their talent wasn't being utilized. And so it fits the narrative, you know, it fits the vibe. And so the story spreads. But that same type of misinformation can also be done and put out there to harm games and harm studios when they don't deserve it. Maybe that studio deserves to be bashed for other stuff, but that doesn't mean that you get to just make stuff up. Lyft, no, it's a specific French competitor that I forget the name of it, but it's known for being like green. So it's all about low emissions cars, and it was like ride sharing is a huge component of it too. I don't think it did very well, frankly, but yeah, their former, I think it wasn't their CTO, it was, I think their chief of operations worked there. It was a company I had never heard of before, but Sandfall Interactive, I think it was the COO. Let me see. Oh my God, I hate LinkedIn so much. Here. Marcel. So you can see Francois Maurice, I'm not sure. He's the COO and production designer or director at Sandfall. Prior to that, he worked at Marcel, which was an e-hailing platform operating in Paris with a 15% commission and growing electric fleet. Is responsible alternative to Uber. And it was a subsidiary company of the Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi Alliance. But he worked there. So it was an all EV like Uber competitor, and then he left there to work at Sandfall. Like, that was his project before working on like probably game of the year. Like, but that's the cool thing about Sandfall. I find this more interesting than the like fake narrative that everybody was former Ubisoft developers. Like, that so many people from all sorts of different walks of life came together to build that game. I find that fascinating, but people like the other story more, I guess. Let's see. I want to talk about, I'll catch up on super chats here in just a second. I do want to go back and talk about one of the topics I had kind of queued up.
Lost my when the
okay. Okay, I got those pulled up. Okay, we're gonna talk about Duskbloods. We're gonna do it. I've been putting it off. We're gonna do it. Real quick, let me catch up on these real fast. Shouldn't take too long. Meta, think of the 5. How is this compared to Colin reporting the total cost of Concord? So funnily enough, so the Colin Concord $400 million cost thing. Excuse me. With that, he said he had a source. But what's funny is that he said specifically, he said, like, I'm tired of everybody saying whenever I say something that I'm reporting. Because I'm not. I'm just telling you that I have a source that says it costs $400 million. So I remember when that news broke and people started talking about it, I remember saying in my videos, I was like, he is not reporting 400 million. He just says he has a source that says 400 million when all is said and done. So yeah, that would also, he specifically said he was not reporting. So we shouldn't say that it's reportedly $400 million. You can be more precise and say Colin Moriarty says he has a source that says the cost is upwards of 400 million. But yeah, you have to be a little bit more precise. A little bit more precise. As for Traverto Magnus and your $5 super chat, about the 7202 2027 backwards thing, I agree. I think 27 makes a lot more sense than 26, and that timeline works out really, really nicely. So I personally expect that fall of 27, potentially even like May of 27, but probably fall is when we should expect Intergalactic. I am wondering where that puts Corey Barlog's game, because he's been working on that for a while. So I don't know if that puts, like, if we're gonna get a Corey game and a Naughty Dog game in the same year, that would be crazy. But maybe Corey's game is more of a 28 game. I don't know, but it's Corey here. Ask him. Yeah, I tried asking him that one time he was in here, and he was like, no, we're making great progress, we're doing very well. I told him he could tell me in confidence, and I'd be very, very polite and not tell anybody, but he neglected to do that. Or did he? No, he didn't tell me. He did not send me a DM and tell me exactly what the game is, what it looks like, send me screenshots. He did not do that. See, this is why, there's Corey. This is why I kind of hope one day my dream is to be taken out of context in a gaming news article where, like, the source is, Luke said this. He said he did not have this happen, but then he cut to an extreme close-up and looked at the camera with a smirk. So I really, one day, I hope that happens to me. I think it would be so funny. It's like, yes, if you just look at what he said, it did not happen. But then he gave a smirk. You know? So basically confirmed. Yeah, Luke has a source. He's just not confirming it. Yeah, I'm not reporting. I'm just telling you all about the stuff that I'm saying. Yeah. I can't breathe. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so but that shows you Corey's in here. Corey knows. Maybe he doesn't. I actually legitimately don't know if when you're building a game, when you know, like, where we should be landing for finalizing it, because I can only imagine how many, like, things you're juggling when you're building a game. But yeah, I legitimately, like, if we're saying Wolverine is the big game for 26 and Intergalactic is like 27, where does that put Corey's game? I don't know. I think we don't get a new God of War until, well, besides like the spinoff game, I don't think we get a new, like, big God of War until next gen, maybe cross gen or something, but I don't know. Saros, well, I think what they do is that their goal is to have the big cinematic game, and then they want to have another big game next year. Though it's going to be big because they also have Guerrilla's game, which, like, Guerrilla has been working on their game for years. I think Joe Raptor was telling us that the game director for the Guerrilla Games multiplayer Monster Hunter kind of game, that game director has been working on the game for like 6 years or something. So that should be, like, close, right? And so if that's the case, then that could be their big, like, multiplayer game middle of next year, maybe. I don't know, but, like, they also are going to have Marathon launching next year. PlayStation should have a good number of things dropping, as will Nintendo. Here's, okay, I want to get into this. Okay, I want to get into this. And thank you for the 5. I like Naughty Dog, but I don't see how 7-year dev cycle can be profitable. I mean, there's a couple of different, like, nuances to it. For one, they got rid of crunch, so overtime pay should drop. Overtime pay is significantly higher than, like, regular hourly wages, assuming that they're receiving overtime pay when they were crunching. Some studios don't really do that. They'll just go salaried. Just depends. But that could be a component of it as well. The 7-year development cycle, also, it's important to remember that for Naughty Dog, for a good chunk of that, they were working on the multiplayer game that was canceled. So it's not like this project was 7 years. This project maybe is like a year and a half of pre-production or something, and then like 3-4 years of active development. Because like the other chunk of time was spent on the live service game. So it's not as simple as just 7 years, you know. But anyway. Let's see. Certainly they wish, I guarantee you the executives at PlayStation would rather they have not spent 7 years to get here. I'm sure they would be preferring that they had both games out making lots of money now, but what are you going to do? Do you think any AA studios are on their way to become AAA? Larian, maybe? Says Silver Lightning. I think Larian, if they hit another one out of the park, absolutely. They're on the scale of AAA already, but I think you're referring to like infrastructure, publishing capability, that type of thing. So I think so. The other one is, excuse me. The other one is IOI, I think is blowing up right now. People underestimate IOI, but I think IOI is one of the next big ones. They give me strong Ubisoft circa 2013 vibes in a good way, where they're hungry, they're small, they're lean, and they're growing like crazy. So I think IOI is another big one. And Owlcat. Watch out for Owlcat. Telling you what, Owlcat, I think fast forward 5 years, they may have a couple big games that people are pointing to and being like, who saw that coming? I really think so. Owlcat gives me strong BioWare energy in their heyday. With like The Expanse, I think is going to be basically Mass Effect, but for a modern like generation of hardware, and it's going to be like polished, and it's going to be crazy. I think The Expanse is going to be crazy. And then a lot of the other stuff they're doing with Warhammer, I think, is also going to pop off. But yeah, I would look at Owlcat, IOI, and Larian, I think, are the big ones I would definitely pay attention to. I have to be careful when I say modern audiences, or like for modern players, because people have a certain way of like, that has a certain connotation, but I mean it like Mass Effect has basically been dormant for what, 15 years? We could count Andromeda, but like, do you really want to count Andromeda? So, but like Mass Effect is something people love, but it has not been given the right treatment for a long time, right? And I think it's about to get a spiritual successor in a very real way, and I think that people should be excited for it. Do not sleep on The Expanse, I'm telling you what. Let's see. And then Trevetto, thank you for the 5. Another rumor said Intergalactic will not appear at the Game Awards 25. How confident are you another trailer will be shown? I want a new trailer. No, I do not think we see Intergalactic at the Game Awards this year, at least. Probably next year, but I don't think this year. This year I'm expecting the big thing to probably be like another big expansive trailer for Resident Evil. That's my guess. Yeah. I think there'll be a lot of stuff at the Game Awards, but I think that the big focus is going to be that. Witcher 4 at the Game Awards? Maybe. I wouldn't get my hopes up, though. I wouldn't get my hopes up. Just, if it's there, amazing, but I would not get my hopes up. What's up with no collector's edition for RE9? Have you heard anything? No? Haven't heard anything. I literally know nothing about the collector's edition, and I didn't even know that there was no collector's edition announced until this very moment. So who knows? See what I mean? He's heard something confirmed. Exactly. I really want somebody to clip it and be like, well, yeah, so what he's saying is the opposite of what I think, but then he like gave a look. One day, boys, one day we'll get there. Avila, thank you also for the resub over on Twitch. Arc Raiders is not for me, but hearing you talk about how those interactions play out is great. Dude, it is very entertaining. It's very, very entertaining. Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, let's talk about this. Take a seat right over there. So this segment, sorry. News segment. This segment was kicked off actually because I was talking with my buddy Corey. We were playing Elden Ring Seamless Co-op together. It's great. It's great. If you've never played Seamless Co-op in Elden Ring, highly recommend it. It's very good. Little janky at times, but for a free mod, you can't complain. Beggars literally cannot be choosers. But I mentioned to him, like, we're chatting as you do when you're playing a game, and I was like, what do you think about the Duskbloods? Are you excited? He was like, what game? It's like the Duskbloods, you know? It's like, what? I don't know what that is. What is that game? I was like, oh. So now I realize something. I think that there's a bit of a bubble. Okay. I think people, maybe a bubble. Maybe it's that it's in its own bucket. I'm not sure, but it was really, really interesting to me. In that moment, I sent him the trailer and he's like, oh yeah, maybe I've seen that. I don't know. But it's very interesting because the Duskbloods should be on paper like the next big thing, right? This is a game coming from Software, the kings of ARPGs, the kings of exploration games, like the guys behind Elden Ring and Night Rain. To be fair, Night Rain did very well this year. And this is a brand new game. And to be clear, Night Rain and Armored Core 6, those were not Hidetaka Miyazaki games, okay? He worked early on in Armored Core. He did some early work on Night Rain, I believe, but they were not games that he was game director on. It was other members of his team that were in charge of those games. And he was putting his effort into Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, and now this. And so this should be very exciting. Everybody should be talking about it, right? This should be like the central hub of excitement for 2026. And I feel like nobody talks about it. It just does not come up in any discourse at all. In some circles, perhaps. But what's fascinating about this is just, I mean, I can just rewind here. This was announced. This is genuinely hilarious. This was announced on April 2nd, okay? April 2nd, 2025, as part of the Switch 2 showcase, announced for release in 2026. People pointed that out because it's very funny that they I'm trying to find the comment. Yeah, here it is. Quay posted this. Y'all announced it on April 2nd, so we knew it wasn't a joke. What is not a joke? What did they have to be very clear about? This is a Switch 2 exclusive game, okay? It is exclusive to the brand new console, the Switch 2. It comes out 2026, and it is a multiplayer game that requires the Nintendo Online membership to play. There's probably an offline single player mode, just like in Elden Ring, you can play it offline. Probably, I don't know if that's been confirmed, but this is a game built around being a Switch 2 exclusive that requires the Nintendo Online subscription, which I believe is around $30 a year. And what's fascinating is that right now, there is not really a big community of FromSoft fans on the Switch platform, whether it's the Switch 1 or Switch 2. And that's because these games just have not historically released on those platforms, so the players have not gone there. They're mainly on console or on PC. And so people already on Switch are not that hyped for it because they just have no exposure to it. They're not that interested. In fact, I believe the Elden Ring port to the Switch was delayed indefinitely because it ran so horribly. I think it was at Tokyo Game Show. They had demos for it that were behind closed doors and they were not allowed to record it. And apparently it ran so poorly that they delayed it indefinitely because even IGN's reporter was like, it's like the Jiminy Glick bit. Can you tell me how the Switch 2 port of Elden Ring runs? Let me guess. That's literally what happened. Okay. So the Nintendo fan base is not that interested in it because they are not like FromSoft fans because they've never had FromSoft games to really sink their teeth into. They've had ports of like the original Demon Souls or something, but like not a lot of exposure elsewhere. you know? I'll let this play out. It's going to read it in a second.
Mr. Rivez donated $5. Hey Luke, seen Alana Pierce's Dispatch, Expedition 33 TGA video? Apparently Dispatch might be stuck in limbo for the possibility of winning major awards this year and the next.
I've not seen it. So I'm not sure what is said about it. I think somebody shared it in the Discord though. I think if that's the one you're talking about. But I will have to I'll have to check that out. Maybe we look at that after we get through all of this. Thank you for the super or for the tip or wherever that came from. Let's see. So what was I saying? But yeah, so the core audience on Nintendo consoles are not that excited for it because like they just have no exposure to it. They've got Demon Souls, but like they've not gotten the steady drip of FromSoft content, right? And then the FromSoft community, that's where this is most interesting because as some of you guys said, there is already Night Rain. And for a lot of FromSoft fans who are interested in the PvP stuff or PvE rather, they've got that covered with Night Rain, the PvE stuff. Maybe PvP is something that is more directly interesting to them, but they feel like they've got that covered. But what I thought was most interesting is the responses on the subreddit, okay? FromSoft fans are diehard, okay? Everybody knows it. They can sometimes even be low-key toxic. Shocking, I know. But they love these games. They love From Software. They love Hidetaka Miyazaki. Desperately. And the sentiment is very clear, as you can see here. Yermangandir says, Miyazaki is cooking, and we're locked out of the kitchen. And it's a vibe I can identify with. I feel that. I feel that on a spiritual level. Okay? From Software, multiplayer game on Nintendo Network. I laughed. It's sad. What's sad is this is the game for me. I love PvP, but I'm never buying a Switch 2. I'm also pretty concerned how the multiplayer experience will be. I almost said Death Stranding. Dark Souls 1 PvP on the Switch looks unplayable from what I've seen. Such a shame as I'm the target audience for this game, but like other PvP players, we don't play on Switch. I don't know how they didn't realize this. I was totally not going to buy a Switch 2, and now I just watched the videos on Zelda games running on it, and Donkey Kong Bonanza is getting 10s. Makes me fight the urge knowing it's going to be hard for me not to when Duskbloods come out. I really dislike Dark Souls PvP, and it being on Nintendo's network with the problems already present with laggy netcode really makes me both happy it's on Switch, but sad its aesthetic is trapped there. We still have Bloodborne, and even with 30 FPS, I'll take it over Souls PvP by way of Nintendo. There's a broad sentiment of people who are just like, I'm good. No Switch for me. As much as I love Night Rain, what makes it successful does not necessarily apply to Duskbloods, such as large player base due to no exclusivity. Elden Ring, established name, garner more attention and easier to get into because of similar mechanics. Unfortunately, what hindered Night Rain will also hinder Duskbloods. We have to agree that Night Rain server was not the best. Now imagine that on a PvPvE game with Switch connectivity. I'm definitely not going to buy another console just to play one game. And I think that this is another piece of it too. FromSoft players, like, these are their games. This is the games they play. I could be wrong. My suspicion is that people who are really into Elden Ring, Night Rain, Sekiro, like, they're really into FromSoft games. They're probably not the kind of players who are going to eat up Donkey Kong Bonanza. You know, they're probably not the kinds of players who are going to buy a Switch 2 for this one game and then fill out their library full of Mario Karts and Mario Parties. You know, I don't know if there's a lot of crossover there. They could build out duplicates of the rest of their library. Maybe they like games like Silksong. You know, they want to get really tough Metroid game, like whatever it may be. I think that they would find games that they could dig into, but I think there's a large chunk of players who would view it as they are buying the console basically for this one game. Now, there's a lot of questions around it. And the people who are familiar with it, you know, the sentiment is, I find this video very funny. This was posted April 9th, a week after it was revealed, by IGN. And it is a video titled The Dusk Bloods. Yes, it's multiplayer, but have some faith in Miyazaki. From the outset, it's, yes, it's multiplayer, but have some confidence, have some faith, some goddamn faith in Hidetaka Miyazaki. And he does know what he's doing. He does know what he's doing. But like, if we look at this, is this a game that you, if you're not on Switch 2, you're willing to spend this kind of money on? Like, because again, you're talking about a $500+ console. You probably are going to need a Pro controller because this is one of those games where you probably don't want to play on like little Joy-Cons. And a $30 Nintendo Online subscription.
Donated $10 through Super Chat. FromSoft games should never be exclusive to a certain platform. Cancel me.
Cancel me, I don't care. Cancel me. Well, what's funny is that the sentiment has been this, literally. The Dusk Bloods is making me feel like those who didn't have a PlayStation when Bloodborne came out. I'm thirsty for new From Software IP, and given the fact that their next game is a Switch 2 exclusive for God knows how much, which is another piece of this, because Nintendo already established that they're willing to charge $80 for the biggest exclusives like Mario Kart. You think this one won't also be 80? I think this is gonna be 80. I'd be shocked if it's not. I think it's $80, 1,000%. Exactly. I totally agree. He said, it's making me feel like 2015 fans who didn't have a PlayStation when Bloodborne came out. Now, I know the pain. The fact that this game is a Bloodborne, not so Bloodborne is ironic. History repeats itself, but this time, at least it's their own IP. And it's multiplayer. But like, if we're looking at this, is this the kind of game that you'd be willing to spend $500, $580 with the game, $680 with the Pro controller,
€10 through Super Chat.
almost $700?
I love Night Train. I have around 450 hours, and not only do I not want to support Nintendo after the whole Palworld thing, but also PvPvE game on a Nintendo console sounds miserable.
Yeah, for those not familiar, thank you for the 10. For those not familiar, Nintendo's network infrastructure is notorious for being, what's the term? Trash, garbage, bad. It's not great. Shocking, I know. You don't actually need to invest that much in your infrastructure for network like servers and stuff when people are mainly using it for like kids party games and stuff. You just don't need it. So when people heard that this game, which is all about like timing and positioning and like precise parrying, that's going to be reliant on those servers, people not that confident. But like, listen to the description of what the game is. Is this a game you're willing to spend $700 to play, even if you're a hardcore FromSoft fan?
Like a lot of Bloodborne fans, I completely lost my shit when the Dusk Bloods was first revealed in the most recent Nintendo Direct. From the first frames of a gaunt, puffy-shirted invalid slumped in a mahogany chair under the light.
Hey, invalid's a little strong. Let's not get too judgy. You know, I've laid like that. Does that make me an... Oh God.
The full moon, to the gothic skylines of Yarnum-esque spires and steeples, to a clerically bestial boss with mangy lupine features and one huge arm, the Dusk Bloods wears its Bloodborne influences on its sleeve like a vampiric sigil carved into pale Victorian flesh. After a decade of fan outcry, FromSoft is finally giving fans what looks to be a spiritual successor to the beloved 2015 PS4 exclusive widely lauded as one of the best games ever made. But unfortunately for some, the operative word here is looks. After finding out what the Dusk Bloods actually is, my excitement began to diminish faster than my health bar in a poison swamp. Unlike Bloodborne, an action RPG, the Duskbloods is clearly labeled as a multiplayer action game. The official messaging on From Software's Japanese site describes it as a PvPvE title with online multiplayer at its core, in which up to 8 players will fight among themselves and against challenging foes. Looking at the various reactions around the internet, it's clear that I'm not the only FromSoft fan who was disappointed by this news.
It just isn't fair.
But I thought about this, and I realized something. As much as I'm not interested in a multiplayer action game that kinda looks like Bloodborne, the Duskbloods is still something worth getting excited about. It's a completely new project, directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki. His track record speaks for itself, and he's the whole reason that we have the Soulsborne genre in the first place, because he was willing to try something new. So even though I'm skeptical,
it is true. And this is what I've said before, is that skepticism is not just being a cynical asshole. Okay, there's believe it or not, there's more to it. That's only a small part of it. But reputation does matter. Reputation, track record does matter. When you're looking at Rockstar, people are like, oh, well, I'm skeptical, so I'm not going to be excited for GTA 6. Like, no, I think you can be excited for GTA 6 because their track record is crazy. It's insane. Same with Hidetaka Miyazaki. So far, doesn't really miss. Just doesn't.
At Luke Smith 9723 donated $9.99 through Super Chat.
Thank you, my friend.
I understand why people justifiably hate Nintendo and their games and their prices. I simply enjoy my Switch 2 anyway. Cancel me.
Cancel me. I don't care. Cancel me. Yeah, well, the games kind of speak for themselves at the end of the day, and if you like the games and the games are worth the price point for you, killer. I mean, I'm glad, you know, that you're connecting with those. But yeah, Nintendo's one of those companies that everybody agrees kind of sucks, but everybody's like, yeah, well, but they have Mario Kart. You know, it's like, I hate it. Anyway, here's my money. You know, that's just how they work. It's how it is. It's how it is. Thank you for the 10, by the way. So reputation does matter. Hidetaka Miyazaki, fantastic track record, clearly a brilliant game designer. And he's also, and this is what I personally love most about him, is that he's humble at his core. He's not doing a lot of press. He's not doing a lot of interviews where people just like blow hot air up his whatever. He's just a humble, grounded guy who loves video games and is trying to build the best ones he can. And because he's humble, he also is not interested in just like chasing down the easy money. If they wanted to just instantly, like if he wanted to go and instantly have enough money to go buy a yacht, he could just go and make Elden Ring 2, shop that to Capcom or whatever, and ride that to the bank. I mean, he could easily do that and make stupid money, but he doesn't do that. He wants to do something fresh, something different, something weird, something even a lot of his own fans are like, really? And I respect that. I respect that a lot. Does it mean that I'm instantaneously going to just throw my money at him? No. You still have to convince me with the product, but I appreciate that he's not like so many of the other people in the industry, where it seems like the second they see the chance to get the fat check, they bail on like everything that made them what they were. Whether it's, you look at Bungie and all of their executive team, the second they get the fat check offered to them, they just give up basically. Or Todd, where the second he gets a taste of that paid mod money, all of a sudden all the design philosophies that made those older games so great go out the window so that they can milk that dry. I respect it a lot. I really respect it a lot. But just because I respect the reputation, I respect the vibe, the design philosophy, that does not mean that you just blindly throw your money at them when they do something new. They still have to convince you it's a product worth buying. But I do think you should keep in the back of your head the reputation and the respect you have for them, because it is something worth noting and it is something to appreciate when you're considering Duskbloods, is that you're not talking about a Night Rain project. You're not talking about Armored Core 6. which was put together by another one of his producers. You're talking about the man, the guy. You are not him. Miyazaki's him. He's the guy, and he's the one directing this.
I think it's worth giving him the benefit of the doubt, and I'll tell you why. In a Creator's Voice blog post on the official Nintendo site, Miyazaki went into more detail. There are over a dozen characters for the player to choose from, each with their own identity and appearance, he explained. The game has a so-called hub area where players can choose their character, customize them, and enter online multiplayer. Upon concluding an online match, players then return to the hub, at which point they receive some sort of reward, whether they win or lose. Using these rewards, players can further customize their character, and so the cycle continues. If that was all we had to go on, I would write this game off entirely because it sounds like yet another hero shooter shaped cash grab. Lots of people love multiplayer games. That's why they keep making them, which is great, except when publishers bank everything on live service projects thinking they've got the next Fortnite or Call of Duty on their hands, and then pull the plug, take the game offline, and lay everyone off after they discover the target demographic is still just playing Fortnite or Call of Duty. Thankfully, the Duskbloods doesn't sound like it's just checking boxes, but rather thinking outside of them. In the same blog post,
I also think it's interesting. Somebody said on stream the other day, they were like, I think that Duskbloods and Night Rain, they're not meant to, like, because it was prompted because I was like, I wonder if Night Rain is going to be cannibalized by the Duskbloods. Like, when Duskbloods comes out, are a lot of those players just going to move over to Duskbloods? And I think some of them obviously will, but they were like, no. I think Night Rain is supposed to be the sort of, it's supposed to be the offering for people that don't want to convert to the Switch 2, because they knew a lot of people would not. So if they're interested in like the PvE gameplay, if they're interested in the online stuff, they have a product for them. And it also was like a testing ground where they could dip their toes in the water with networking a game like that is exclusively built around multiplayer. So it's sort of a multifaceted project for them. But it's more about giving players who don't want to convert over to the new console something that they can still play. And I thought that was interesting. Because I think there's certainly going to be a lot of them that don't convert over for sure.
Miyazaki elaborated on what makes the Duskbloods unique, stating that online matches are generally last player standing, but there are certain cases where victory conditions differ, like a powerful boss enemy suddenly appearing, forcing everyone to put their differences aside to kill it. Furthermore, players will have their own roles, which are personal goals separate from the overall victory conditions. For instance, if one player has the destined rival role applied, they are tasked with finding and defeating one specific player. Conversely, there's also a destined companion role in which one player must seek out another player and form a bond with them. So everyone's trying to kill each other except for two people who are trying to be friends? I don't know, sounds kinda interesting. It remains to be seen how this actually functions in-game, but I'm intrigued. It sounds a little bit like the game Werewolf, in which players have varying objectives, but no one's quite sure what everyone else is doing. Miyazaki notes, quote, I personally am not much of a PvP person, and I wanted to make something that's satisfying even for players like me. And this right here is music to my ears because I am the same way. A lot of people play Fortnite for the straightforward competition, but I always had a good time just scampering around the map trying to do the secondary objectives while avoiding getting murdered by roving bands of 10-year-olds. It sounds kind of like there'll be various ways to score victory points in the Duskbloods aside from just killing everyone else, and Miyazaki notes that some players may prefer to earn points by avoiding direct combat and instead engaging in more opportunistic behavior. How you earn points is entirely up to you. Interesting. FromSoft's action RPGs are primarily...
I mean, like, that is all interesting. I also am more optimistic about, like, Night Rain. For me, I just do not click with games that require you to do the same maps and the same bosses over and over and over again. You know, there's some of those games where it's like, oh, well, this time it's different though because the boss has more health and now is green. And like, that just doesn't work for me. My brain just does not like that. But I'm more confident in Duskbloods over Night Rain achieving that, because like, it's just remember the sheer volume of content in Elden Ring. Like, that's the team that's working on this. So I have to feel like I have to suspect that they're going to have just a ridiculous number of variations of different bosses, of different ways that the game round can play out to keep it fresh. And if that's what they're able to offer, then I'm much more intrigued and interested. Because if it's just like, well, there's like 5 maps or five bosses that rotate, and then there's like, you know, different conditions where like sometimes it's raining and sometimes it's sunny, like that's not going to do it for me. But if it's a sheer volume of content on the level of like an Elden Ring, then I'm very interested.
Single player experiences, but dating back to Demon's Souls, they've all had a multiplayer component, not counting Sekiro, but that's also not an RPG. Interacting with other players has largely been optional, buried in comically obtuse matchmaking systems that involve ringing dainty little bells and performing ambiguous rituals with someone else's amputated fingers or enchanted jewelry. One of FromSoft's best qualities is how their games let players figure, or finger, things out for themselves, and while it's immensely rewarding in terms of lore and exploration, it can get a little tedious when you're just trying to connect with other players. Summoning another player online to help beat a boss may have a stigma among some hardcore players, but it's there for a reason, and helping other players online has always been at the core of FromSoft's action RPGs. In a 2010 interview with Eurogamer, Miyazaki explained the origins of the anonymous co-op in Demon's Souls. His inspiration was the time his car got stuck in the snow at the bottom of a hill, but got over it after the cars behind him gave his car a push, even though he hadn't directly asked them to help. As he poetically described it, you could probably call it a connection of mutual assistance between transient people. Driving home, Miyazaki wondered how—
Yeah, that's what I would have called it.
how he would have gotten along with these anonymous Good Samaritans if they'd met under different circumstances. Would they be friends, or would they fight? The Duskbloods sounds almost like the inverse of this, like if there was an 8-car pileup and everyone got out of their cars to argue, but then 2 of the people realized they went to high school together and were old friends, but then a grizzly bear showed up and everybody put their differences aside to try and scare it off. Bear in mind, no pun intended.
This also, though, hold on, honest question. Have they announced if the Duskbloods will have prox chat? I don't even know if you can do that on Nintendo's network. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know, man. That seems important for a game like this, especially when you're interacting with players. So he also, this is interesting, I found, by trying to find this, I also found a tidbit where he, like, from this interview, is talking about what led them to putting it on the Switch 2. And they say, please, first off, tell us what led this being developed for the Switch 2. A while back, we had the opportunity to meet with Nintendo and discuss ideas. And during this discussion, we presented a rough outline for the Duskbloods. It was still very bare bones at the time, more a loose string of ideas than a proper presentation. The concept itself was different from anything we had ever done before. And Nintendo seemed very interested in helping make it a reality. So that's when the project kicked off. At first, it was being worked on by a small team as a title for Nintendo Switch. However, just as the game started to take shape, we were approached by Nintendo with talk of Switch 2, which led to a revamp of our development path with this new hardware in mind. The new focus, hardware focus on online features, allowed us to stay true to the original vision as possible, which was also very good news for us. So they met with Nintendo and then presented it. Interesting. Anyway, continuing. Prox chat. The reason I look at Prox chat is because, like, if this is a game where you're trying to come up to players and there's instances where, like, you have to befriend a player and then you have to, like, interact with players while fighting a boss, it seems like Prox chat is such an obvious thing to have, but maybe they just don't have that on the Switch 2. The Switch obviously is much more of a family console, so they, I'm sure, are much more sensitive to the idea of toxicity than PC players would be. But that still seems like a really obvious thing that you kind of need. Because I swear to God, if it's like, okay, befriend this player with like very weird emotes and then use this finger and then eat it, and then you take this reindeer hoof and you have to start a fire with it, like I can already see the headaches
This is rampant speculation about a video game coming out in 2026 based on statements Miyazaki made 15 years ago, so take it with a pinch of spirit ashes, if you will. PvP is a contentious topic among Soulsborne players, and one criticism regularly leveled against it is that it's not properly balanced. And yeah, no FromSoft gives players an immense amount of freedom to craft different builds. For instance, Elden Ring has 414 weapons and 714 pieces of armor, all of which can be upgraded and modified, and all of which scale depending on how you've assigned skill points to one of 10 starting classes across 8 different stats, and that's not even factoring in talismans, runes, items, or whatever else I'm forgetting. If you can do the math to min-max a lightning perfume bottle profit build, you can probably run the numbers on how much time and money it would take to fine-tune Elden Ring's PvP enough to make everyone happy. The Duskbloods will have some degree of character customization, but that's the customization of a handful of pre-made characters. The fact that the game is described as action and not action RPG suggests to me that figuring out what your character can do will be a lot more streamlining than futzing around with granular upgrades in a big spreadsheet. It's worth pointing out that Elden Ring Night player progression has been streamlined in a similar fashion, with stat points being automatically allocated. It might be constricting for some fans of build crafting, but it means that players can get into the action faster, and FromSoft has less variables to account for in order to create a balanced experience. It's hard to talk about the Duskbloods without talking about Elden Ring Night Rain, and that's tricky since Night Rain hasn't actually come out yet. Still, a lot of people have formed opinions based on a recent network test, and what's been shown is likely indicative of Night Rain's basic gameplay loop, but it's not fair to assume that the Duskbloods will follow suit just because it's a multiplayer game. In fact, the messaging kinda got buried, but Night Rain isn't entirely a multiplayer game by default. The network test was just there to test that aspect of it, but supposedly Night Rain can be played solo, which I imagine will sit a lot better with a lot of folks. After all, even when you summon other players for co-op in Elden Ring, a lot of them insist on playing solo. The fact that Night Rain is connected to Elden Ring and not an entirely new property is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, Elden Ring sold almost 30 million copies, so you can't really fault Bandai Namco for wanting to cash in a bit on name brand recognition. At the same time, familiarity breeds contempt, and while there's definitely some new stuff showing up in Night Rain, there are also a lot of recycled elements and systems. That means less of a lift for the devs and less of a learning curve for returning players, but it also doesn't have that same new car smell or sense of mystery. Seeing a post-launch roguelike remix of a popular game as DLC is pretty common these days. God of War Ragnarok, The Last of Us Part 2, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Far Cry 6, Hitman World of Assassination, and even Splatoon 3 have all gotten modes that chop up their mechanics and systems and enemies into a randomized roguelike format. It's sort of like taking a bunch of Thanksgiving leftovers and making a casserole once you've exhausted all the conventional meal configurations involving turkey, stuffing, and mashed potatoes. And
Dude, I love stuffing so much. I gotta stop streaming when I'm hungry. I love stuffing so much.
I don't mean that as a slight against roguelikes or casseroles. It's a creative reuse of stuff you got lying around.
Let us eat.
To circle back to my original point, giving the Duskbloods a chance because Miyazaki's in charge, it's worth noting that he's not in charge of Night Rain. That's being directed by Junya Ishizaki, a FromSoft veteran who's been around since the original Dark Souls and acted as battle director for Elden Ring, which is not only an objectively awesome job description, but one that he obviously performed with flying colors. The last time Miyazaki let someone else take the wheel of one of his properties, we got the infamously divisive Dark Souls 2. I don't bring this up to throw shade at Night Rain or Mr. Ishizaki, but rather to point out that the reason Miyazaki stepped away was to establish a whole new universe, which was Bloodborne. And now, he's stepping away from Elden Ring to work on the Duskbloods.
I give you my blood.
Narrative tends to get backburnered in multiplayer games.
I mean, again, it's just as we go through all of this, it's still mysterious. We don't know details. It could change. It could. But it's not just about me. Like I'm a weird guy. I talk about video games all day. I love this. It's my bread and butter. But it's not like who needs to engage with Duskbloods for it to pop off, and like what are they aiming for? I think the fact that Night Rain exists to give fans that are currently established on PC or console, traditional consoles, it gives them something to play. I think that signals that their main goal is to build out a new audience from Nintendo players. there will be some people that convert, that come over, buy a Switch 2, and have played all these other games on other platforms. But I think their real hope is to try and find a new audience as well, of new players who have never been exposed to these types of games before. And I do think that they will find some people. Especially, they're also porting over Elden Ring at the same time, and so they hope to at least capture some new fans. But I just think, like, the game sounds interesting. I'm excited to see it and check it out. The fact Miyazaki's working on it is cool. But again, it's just it's crazy, because how good is good enough to justify $700? You know, like, how good does this have to be worth $700? Because like we said, it's like a $550 console depending on where you live. The game almost certainly is going to be $80 on top of that. So we say 600, just average it out. We'll say 600. You probably also want a Pro controller for a game like this. You're not going to be playing this on like the little Joy-Cons. Though not necessary, but still. That's like $80 to $100. I'm not sure how much. And we're already at like $700. Not to mention the online membership that's going to be $30 on top of that. Like, how good does this game have to be for you to spend that kind of money? Especially people jokingly say in this economy, but like, seriously, in this economy. You know, and it just, again, it brings me back to this comment. Miyazaki's cooking, but we're locked out of the kitchen. And I think a lot of people, it's not just a matter of like, do they love it enough to spend $700? A lot of people just straight up don't have $700, you know? Nobody does this math for exclusive games. Do you mean nobody is doing the math? They're just going to buy it on vibes? What do you mean? Astrobot is not worth 80 or 800 for PS5 Pro and Pro controller in the game. The point specifically with this is that the people who are, you can see it in the subreddits where these communities have gathered. These are players who are not interested in the Nintendo lineup of games. They're not interested in Mario Kart. They're not interested in Donkey Kong Bonanza. They're not interested in those games. They would be buying this for the Duskbloods and maybe to play Elden Ring on the go, you know, when that port eventually drops, assuming it runs. And so for them, it is a different equation than it would be to like buy a PC to play Baldur's Gate, you know, where you also then get access to the entire Steam library of everything, every freaking game. So I think it's just a different equation. But let's see. Let's see. Where did you said Mendez is making a good point. Hold on, where's Mendez? You could get like 70 Tiger Electronics for that kind of money. You could. Some of us do, but it's almost all of our savings. Well, and I mean, the game, I think this is why it's just so fascinating to me. This whole thing is going to be fascinating because I think that the game looks good. And I think, you know, Hidetaka knows what he's doing when it comes to making games. But this was such a bizarre tactical choice to not just do like a Bloodborne spiritual successor, at least in vibes, and make it exclusive. But it's a multiplayer game that is also going to be dependent on Nintendo's network infrastructure, which is notoriously terrible. It also is a game that really seems to beg for proximity chat, which I don't think is something Nintendo is ever going to allow. So it's just across the board. It's just confusing. It's confusing. And pretty clearly, it's a game that's being built up to try and build out the more mature side of Nintendo's audience, which they don't historically have a very mature customer base. And so they're trying to do that. And they're also trying to build out more network infrastructure, because that's recurrent revenue. If they can get you spending $30 a year, maybe they can up that to $50 a year. And then that's something that they're getting every single year out of you, even on years when they don't have a new Zelda game to release. You know, they really want that recurrent revenue, which is why all the other big players are chasing it too. And it's why I would not be surprised if right before this drops, it's announced that there's a price hike and it goes from $30 a year to $50 a year or $60 a year. And, you know, they justify it as, well, we're overhauling the network infrastructure in preparation for the Duskblood, so we need that money. But like straight up, if there's Nintendo server problems on launch day, you just won't be able to play the game. Like, and a lot of people, they don't have that much confidence that they're going to be able to avoid that, you know? So for me, like, yeah, sure, I'll buy the game, check it out, whatever. But it's not about me, as much as it pains me to say that. It's about the average consumer, the average gamer, that was really into FromSoft games and loved Elden Ring. Does this appeal to them? Does this hook them? Or maybe it just doesn't. And you know, it comes and goes and it's fine, you know, it performs even pretty well, but most people just sit on the sidelines waiting for Elden Ring 2. I don't know. But it's just crazy to see that after the ridiculous success of Elden Ring, that this is the route they go. Because every other studio, I feel, would just chase down Elden Ring 2. But instead they're doing this game, which just across the board, I just find very confusing. You know, it's just confusing. So I'm excited to see how it goes. I really am. Are we getting a new FromSoft game this upcoming award show? Maybe a trailer for this. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we got a new Duskbloods trailer at the Game Awards. It would not shock me at all. It kind of makes perfect sense, honestly. They've won Game of the Year. They could call Jeff up and do a trailer for it. I'm sure Nintendo would love to have a trailer as like the big final gavel hit at the end of the Game Awards. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. So I don't know. It's going to be really cool to see how they approach it. I'm excited to see more about the game, but more than anything, I am just intrigued and curious as to how this does. Does it win over players? Does it get people to convert and buy a Switch 2 for this game? I mean, who knows? Maybe when they buy the game, you know, they buy it and they move over and they're like, ooh, I love Mario Kart. I liked Elden Ring, but I love Mario Kart. Maybe that's what it's going to be. Who knows? But it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes, because I think, again, Duskbloods has sort of flown under the radar for a lot of FromSoft fans because they were not watching a Nintendo Treehouse event. Like, and if they were not on Twitter that day, they might have missed it, as my friend did, you know? And so I do wonder how this is going to play out. And if the FromSoft community like embraces it and it becomes the next big thing, or if it just kind of sputters away and goes away, you know. Are you gonna try Duskbloods? Yeah, I mean, it's literally my job to try and play like pretty much everything. But like I said, it's not about me. I'm a very rare breed in the sense that like I have all of this to do for a living. Like this is what I do. Most people do not do that. Like they have only so much time and money to spend on the hobby, and they've got to be very precise with what they do and how. So anyway, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. We'll see. From software extraction shooter, when? Dude, is this not kind of an extraction shooter? I mean, it's my understanding is it's a PvPvE game where you load into a match and you play with other players and you gather stuff, and then there's only like one winner. I mean, it's kind of an extraction shooter. Like it kind of low-key is already. Oh, so I guess we're already there. Real quick, have you guys heard what's going on with DRAM prices? It sounds it sounds like Xbox may even have to raise prices on consoles again. Again. And it's because DRAM prices are out of control. Nick Tech put this up. Bro. They've skyrocketed 171% year over year, outpacing the rate of gold price increases. AI demand drives massive price hikes as shortages take hold. Basically, what's happening is every server farm and data center on the planet is in desperate need of high speed RAM and memory, just period. And this is going to come as a surprise. Server farms can afford a lot more than you and bid a lot more money than you can. And so what they're doing is they're going to all of these manufacturers. They're bidding crazy amounts of money, and all of the manufacturers of these memory modules are retooling everything to get the enterprise clients what they need first, because it's worth a lot more. And so, they could sell you a $500 pack of memory, or they could agree to like redo all of their manufacturing and do like, $100 million worth of inventory for, a big enterprise client. So that means all of the casual, like small dudes stuff is, everyday person products. They are in mass shortage. People are starting to panic. And as you know, people do not tend to stay super calm in times of need. Like, you remember when COVID broke out and all the toilet paper disappeared? And it was like, why is toilet paper like disappear? What? Why are we doing that? It's not even that kind of illness. But people saw that toilet paper was selling out, so everybody runs out and buys toilet paper, and that makes toilet paper disappear, which makes everybody else freak out because toilet paper is disappearing, and it's all just stupid. It just spins and spins and spins. And with this, it's also like a lot of people don't even need RAM right now, but they're going into the store buying it because they're worried it's going to go up in price even more. It's like, bro, you're part of the problem. What are you doing? So memory prices are skyrocketing, not just for like the individual sticks that you'll put in your gaming PC, but also for everybody else that's doing anything memory related, such as a Steam machine, such as Xboxes, phones, yeah, all of it. And that's why it's expected that they may actually have to raise prices on the Xbox again. Which would be insane. But as you can see by GameRanks, Microsoft Xbox Series consoles could raise in price again because Moore's Law is Dead released a new video noting new price hike fear. According to their sources, multiple Microsoft sales reps have noted that a supply shortage could affect Xbox Series consoles very soon. And of course, it's AI related. However, before those consoles even release, pricing could affect recent platforms or current platforms, since Microsoft is reportedly already warning of shortages hitting Xbox Series X and X consoles. That could mean we could see prices inflate even further. After all, we've seen the Xbox Series launch at X launch at $500, and now costs $650, and it could go upwards of like $750, $800 when all is said and done. Absolutely crazy. Apparently, one of the sources, I don't know if it was Moore's Law is dead or not, but one of the sources of these like sales reps from Microsoft said that they did literally no planning, like no planning ahead for what could end up happening with memory pricing skyrocketing, which is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Can I find, I wanted to find in the transcript the bit where he mentions Xbox maybe. Maybe try this. I think this is it.
In fact, I am told that the RX 9070 GRE 16GB, a card that was going to try to use worse yields of Navi 48 to basically give you a less efficient 9070 16GB level of performance, but for less money, yeah, that's been pulled from roadmaps a lot of my sources have access to, and multiple AIBs are now telling me that it's going to come maybe late quarter 1 or 2 or never. So it's sounding like it is likely canceled, unfortunately. Now, let's move on with this, though. Why is Radeon being mentioned in the A tier of screwedness and NVIDIA isn't at the same tier level? Well, it's because Radeon doesn't hoard as much RAM and then sell them as part of their BOM kits to AIBs like NVIDIA does. If you want further explanation, go watch that NVIDIA's Ultimate Play video that I put out years ago. It entirely explains how NVIDIA does things and how that differs from AMD. But the point is that AMD doesn't have the same safety stock as NVIDIA. And so, yeah, Radeon prices will be going up very soon. Those reports are true. Sorry to tell you. If you want a 9070 XT, buy it right frickin' now. Oh, and one more product to add to this tier list, the A tier. Xbox. Yep, they didn't plan ahead at all, apparently. If you still want an Xbox for some reason at their current pricing, those prices could go up soon, or supply could just entirely dry up, because multiple sources of mine have apparently been warned by sales reps at Microsoft that this is going to affect the Xbox Series consoles very, very soon, sooner rather than later. But PlayStation is not in the same tier. We'll get to them in a second. All right.
I'm guessing it's because PlayStation has just planned ahead more and like manufactured more ahead of time. I honestly, if I were Xbox, I would just let supply run out. Like the PR nightmare that will hit if they announce that they're raising prices again, dude, that's going to cost you more than not selling the 35 consoles you would have sold anyways. Like, just let the inventory deplete, manufacture more when prices go down. Like, it'll be fine. I hate to be this guy, but I don't think that many people were going to rush out and buy Xbox Series X's on Black Friday anyway. Maybe that's cynical of me, but like, let's be honest with ourselves. I don't think it was a I don't think it was a big problem. I think it was going to be fine. Let's see what he says about the PlayStation 5 though. Okay, what does he say about PlayStation? Why are they not getting hit?
And now the D tier. Believe it or not, PlayStation. From what I've heard, Sony planned ahead, bought up gobs of RAM near the bottom of the pricing, and thus they should be fine for months. They have plenty of GDDR6, at least that's what I'm told. Yes, prices could go up eventually. I could see that happening next year, especially if by then the Series X is $1,000. Why not? But there is a reason Sony is cutting PlayStation 5 pricing for Black Friday. They aren't just doing this as some extreme move or because sales are bad. They can afford to do it. Apparently, they're not worried about the RAM shortage, at least in the short to mid-term. And so who knows, maybe 2026 will be the year where people go, just get a PlayStation. It's the only thing with sane pricing. We'll have to see, though. But don't feel rushed to get one this second.
It's so insane to me. It's so insane to me that Sony has been kicking butt, taking names, giving those names to other people who butt they kicked, And like they could be the most toxic right now. They're at the top. Nobody's that interested in buying Xbox hardware. I don't know how the ROG Xbox Ally X is doing right now, but maybe it's doing really well. But the core consoles don't seem to be doing too hot. Not flying off shelves. And so if PlayStation wanted to be like really toxic and just keep raising prices and doing stuff like that, they could. Like Economics 101, you corner the market, you raise the prices. That's what you do. That's just 101. But instead they're going the opposite direction. I mean, it says, yeah, all PS5 consoles kicking off November 22nd will be $100 off. So you can buy a straight up PS5 Pro for what, $650? Same price as the Series X? That's ridiculous. That's crazy. It's crazy. But that's what they're able to do. Because they're still hungry, and I respect it. I respect it a lot, and it's just going to further the lead. I don't think it'll always stay this way. You know, it's not always going to stay this way. Never assume that a corporation, a giga corporation that's worth many billions of dollars, as Sony is, never assume that they're just being nice to you to be chill. There's always a reason. You know, they're trying to widen market share, especially at a time when Microsoft and Xbox are really weak in terms of hardware share, sale share. And so they're not doing this just out of the kindness of their heart. You know, there's always a tactical reason behind it. But for now, we can enjoy it for what it is. I thought the Series X was $750. It might be where you are. I believe the base one is $650, and then the 2 terabyte is $800, I think. But they have a few different SKUs. That's the thing. Let's see. 1 terabyte is $650. Yeah, apparently they didn't plan ahead at all. It's just so stupid, man. It's so stupid. At this point, like how do you justify any of this? How do you justify any of this? It's just so insane. They're a $4 trillion company. And they didn't think to like stockpile. Well, I get it. They're not selling through a lot of them. Like, I get it. But like, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's absolutely crazy. And they own OpenAI. Yeah, it's, oh, man. It's really just baffling. Tim Sweeney, what did he say? RAM price increases will be a real problem for high-end gaming for several years. Factories are diverting leading-edge DRAM capacity to meet AI needs, where data centers are bidding far higher than consumer device makers. This one, Theo tweeted this out. I knew the memory pricing thing was bad, but like WTF, I bought 64 gigs of RAM 4 weeks ago for $240. Same kit right now is $498. Dude, I'm really, really glad that my PC died like a month ago, because I just had to do all of this. Like, just did all of this. What is my RAM? Hold on. Maybe I can find my exact RAM. It's DDR5, and then what is this PC running? I don't even know. Oh well, I'm looking at the wrong freaking computer. I'm looking at the wrong computer. Hold on. This is what happens when you have two PCs. You mix them up. Where is it? Okay. My streaming PC. It's the 128 gig kit. Okay. 128 gigabits. It's out of stock. For one. Dude, what? Is this it? This might be it. Bro. and it's sold out. People are buying it up. Dude. The 96 gig kit is $883. There's only one left. Dude. That's insane. This is absolutely, I didn't know mine, bro. My PC, this is an investment. My PC's going up in value. This is worth more today than when I bought it, just because of the RAM. That's insane, dude. That's crazy. Absolutely bonkers. That RAM's worth over $1,000 now. I could literally flip it used and make enough money. Like that's crazy. That's great. I would do that, but I don't have any RAM to replace it. And the this is the 64 gig kit of this Corsair Dominator is $725. Okay, 32 is only 400. There you go. So wait, somebody in chat goes, "This is Apple RAM prices." Literally, dude, this is insane. That's crazy. What's even crazier is it probably ain't getting any better. Probably ain't getting any better. How much did it cost you back then? Let me see if I can find the receipt. I wonder. Not 1,000. tell you that much. It was probably like 400 for all of that. It's like more than double. Maybe I sent it to this inbox? No. Maybe this inbox? Yeah, like 480. So, yeah. Glad it happened when it did. Glad it happened when it did. God dang, dude. $1,000 for RAM. That's crazy. And that's the thing, is like the only way that this gets fixed, because like this is the key. This is happening not because people are like rushing out and just buying it. That's probably happening in some cases, but the core reason why it's happening is because the manufacturers, the people that make this RAM, they are not making more, because instead they're making memory for the servers, for the data centers, who can pay a lot more. And those groups are spending hundreds of billions of dollars on those data centers. And they're doing that over the next like 2, 3, 4 years. So they're not going to go back to making a lot of this stuff anytime soon. Because why would they? I mean, why would they? They can make way more money making the data center RAM. So I don't think this gets fixed anytime soon, you know? That's crazy. All of the prices on all of your electronics just went up. Everything. Like the PlayStations, yeah, they'll be okay for 6 months because they have a stockpile. They'll be okay. Nvidia, they apparently also stockpile a lot of stuff, so they are resistant. And frankly, if Nvidia wants to like strong arm some people, they can do it because they're Nvidia. They're like the biggest company in the world. So there's that. But I mean, this is insane. I knew it was bad. I didn't realize it was that crazy. Yeah, these are basically Apple RAM prices. Yeah, dude. Apple was just ahead of the curve, dude. What's insane is that this is actually probably cheaper than these memory prices are right now. Apple's the affordable one now. Who saw that coming? That was not on my bingo card. I'll tell you what. This is not on my bingo card. Oh, man. Wow. Steam Machine. Well, so Doodle the what is it? Doodle Thulu. This is why they can't announce pricing for the Steam Machine. Because if this gets worse, and the machine, like, let's say a month ago, they thought the machine was going to be $600. Right now, the machine is probably, now they have to charge $800, $900 just to cover their bases. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So I think for them, they don't want to announce pricing because it's probably getting worse. Like it's probably going to get to the point where it's going up to, you know, right now it's broadly about 2x over what it was a month ago. It's probably going 2.5, 3 times. Because again, it's not like what happened with the AI craze. Remember, or not AI, the Bitcoin mining craze. If you remember, everybody bought up GPUs to go and put in server farms to grind and mine for Bitcoin and Ethereum and stuff like that. And that was just like literally the supply stayed the same, but everybody was buying it up. All these scalpers and people were buying it up. And so once that settled down and they got all of the GPUs they could handle, then the supply stayed consistent and we were able to go and get them at good prices because that continued going. What's happening here is that there's just no more supply. And so like the demand is largely the same, like the same number of people are building and buying PCs. We're going into the holiday season when maybe more people would have been buying and like building PCs, but like I think demand is largely consistent, but the supply is just gone. And the only way the supply comes back is with new fabs, new manufacturing that isn't happening right now. Like there's no easy fix. There isn't really a fix, period, but there's no easy fix. Yeah, so some of these comments are crazy. My 64 gigabyte RAM kit cost me $160 in February. Now that same exact kit is $480. I have a feeling that once AI implodes and the $1 trillion in obligations that OpenAI has, hardware is going to be insanely cheap. That is true. If it implodes, AI hardware will be insanely cheap. That is very, very true. The economic volcanic eruption that will have happened leading up to that collapse may complicate and make it so you are not feeling like upgrading your computer, but we will see. OpenAI is a bloody parasite sucking the life out of everything. I mean, you look at Sam Altman, it just kind of fits the vibe. He does have a vampiric vibe. This feels like market manipulation. How is OpenAI able to afford a deal securing 40% of the world's DRAM supply? Because every investor on the planet is like obsessed with AI right now. That's the whole thing. Oh man. Crazy times we live in. Crazy, crazy times we live in. So I won't tell you what to do. My suspicion is that this will get worse before it gets better. I don't think the RAM prices will magically settle in like a month. We'll be like, oh, they fixed it. Like, I don't think that's happening. I think this is going to get worse because, again, it's a manufacturing issue. And they're not going to stop until they stop investing in data centers, which there's like literally governmental initiatives to do it. They're not going to stop anytime soon. So I think it'll just get worse. So I'm not telling you what to do, but, you know, if you were going to build a PC, I think the RAM's only going to get more expensive. So, you know, if you're going to shop, maybe I'm not saying you should shop for 128 gig kits like I did, but, you know, maybe just buy it, put it under your pillow, sleep with it. You know, that like drawer in your closet where you keep your family heirlooms, your grandmother's ring, your grandfather's watch. Put a couple sticks of DDR5 in there. You know, little nest egg. Maybe that's what you got to do. But yeah, I think Tim's probably right. He is probably white too. I think Tim's probably right that this probably goes for longer than a few weeks. I think this probably sticks for a while. Mr. Mubbles, thank you for the 10.
At Mr. Mubbles donated $10 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
I run a MSP and part of that is hardware upgrades and building. I've got a client who wants me to upgrade his company's laptops from 8 GB to 32 GB DDR4 and they've been priced out.
Dude, really? So even DDR4 is getting hit? Because I thought that this was mainly sticking to like DDR5, like specifically higher end, faster stuff, but even the lower stuff is getting hit. Do I buy a PS5 Pro for Christmas or 2 sticks of DDR5 RAM? Oh, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. First world problems? True. But what's so funny about this is also, like I said with the toilet paper example, lots of people out there don't need new RAM. Okay. In my case, it was specific because like the computer literally fried itself because a NVMe SSD had like a 1 in a million hardware failure. Funnily enough, my brother who works in IT, he's using that NVMe SSD to like train people because it's so rare that those NVMe SSDs die the way that mine died. He's like, let me showcase this to people how insane this is. But I think what you're gonna see, just like with the toilet paper, is people going out and they're gonna upgrade their RAM now, ironically enough, as the price is going up, and they're going to do that because they're panicking and worried that, well, I might want to upgrade in 6 months and then I won't have any memory to upgrade with, so I'll just get it out of the way now. And not saying it's rational, certainly. Congratulations, you become a case study. Yeah, literally. I was trying to find other examples on like Reddit of this exact issue, and I couldn't find any examples of anybody else who's ever had this particular thing happen. I probably should have like contacted the SSD manufacturer and done that whole thing. But at some point, like, your boy doesn't have time, you know? Anyway. Also, I know a lot of you guys really care. Get ready. Starfield's doing a visual compendium giveaway. So there's that. What's funny is that they said they would have more to share later this year about Starfield and about the new DLC and all that, and they just haven't. Like, I think they said back in March. I think it was back in March, where they said that they would have more to share, and then they just didn't. To share. I will say, the best thing for Grok is just searching through all of Twitter to find specific tweets, because it was a reply to somebody, so it doesn't show up on their account. But Grok is very good at finding very specific tweets. If you remember them, you're like, I swear somebody tweeted this out, and you're trying to find it. March 6th. Dude, I'm so good. I'm so good at this. We know, it's a quote. We know you're eager for an update, and we truly appreciate your passion for Starfield. The team has been hard at work, and while we're not ready to share specific details yet, we have a lot of exciting things planned for the game this year that we can't wait to talk about when the time is right. And then they just didn't. They just didn't. Never mind. Never mind. We've been waiting since March for any update, and bro, seriously, they just have had nothing. They just... Nope. Top comment's great. Can we get an update on Elder Scrolls? It's been 7... It's been 7 effing years. That's a vibe. That's a vibe. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Oh man. Oh. Yeah, dude, it's it's so stupid. It's so dumb. I don't know. And again, this was in response to History is in the Making. Members of the Starfield community had the privilege of attending this launch this week. This is great. Loved Starfield to bits. I'm still playing the game to this day, but you really need to start communicating on what's happening with the next update and DLC. Thank you. And then their reply to that was that they were going to start communicating, and then they just didn't. They're like me on Instagram. I make one tweet or one post on Instagram, and I'm like, okay, I'm back. Time to be active on Instagram again. And then I don't post anything for a year and a half. That's them. I get it, officially. Ghost, thank you for the 5. I was planning to finally join the PC Master Race next year. Should I bite the bullet now and buy RAM even though I have no other parts? I would say, if you were planning next year at some time, just probably wait, because it's possible that by like next fall, somebody's come in and filled the hole in the market, and there's more competition in the consumer space, and you'll be able to get good pricing again. But I think if you're looking at the next like 3 to 6 months, it's probably only going to get more expensive. But if you were looking at just next year generally, I would just chill, hold the line. Yeah, we hold the line. Yeah, or get a Steam Machine. Steam Machine might not be that great of a deal from what we're seeing. Let's see. Edgar says capitalism was a mistake, comrade. The free market giveth and the free market taketh away. Yes, indeed. It sure do. It sure do. Okay. Also, is this it? Yeah. Oh, the data has continued to come in. We touched on this on Friday, but just to let you guys see it. It looks like Black Ops 7 is approaching like dangerously bad performance territory. Like, not great. Not great. Not only are they now saying
at Luke Corfield
63%
2002
down.
donated $9.99 through Super Chat. I feel many games are designed in a way it's best for people with no job and young kids. I get tired of games that need hours of grinding for one good item. Once you're an adult and have
family, no time. Well, Luke, I thank you for the 10, first of all, but I also think that you tap onto something that has actually been a topic of conversation with our creators, which I wonder if I can find it. I think it was Myth. Let me see. Yeah, this clip started going around. I'll just let it play. This clip from Myth started going around, and it's an unpopular opinion.
I will reiterate that any problems that this game has, it's so fucking like irrelevant compared to all the problems you have to deal with when it comes to games nowadays, bro. I'm with
like
you all
bugs.
the way, brother. The fact that they left the glitch in after Stella says enough. Well, I don't know if that means much. I mean, if anything, I think it just says that they had Stella Montes ready to go. Also, I'm gonna be honest, I have a very, very unpopular take on this that I don't know if a lot of people will respect. I would rather receive new content over fixing non-game breaking bugs every day of the week. I don't care. If it doesn't break the game, like, I just give me new content. Like I'll swallow the new content, and that will be the pill that I have to swallow. I'd much rather deal with that. Like if I got to pick one, I like playing with shiny new toys. Just sick of keys having no use at all since launch. Yeah, I feel that.
To be clear, he acknowledges it's an unpopular opinion, so I'll give him credit for that. But the reason that he feels that way, I'm sure, is because he's a streamer playing this game for like 12 hours a day. And so that super chat coming from Luke Warfield, thank you again for the 10. I feel many games are designed in a way where it's best for people with no job, no kids. I get tired of games that need hours of grinding for one good item. Once you're an adult and have a family, no time. And I think that there's a lot of games that start to fall into that trap where they're popular, they're popular live service games and they get a lot of streamers playing them, and those streamers start to really eat it up. But these streamers who are playing these games day in, day out, they can often kind of lose sight of how normal people play games. Like normal people tend to work their 9 to 5, they get home, they have dinner, maybe they do something with the kids or the wife or whatever, and then they go after the kids go down and they sit down and they play for an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe with their friends, maybe not, and then they go to bed and the whole thing goes over again, you know? And that's how most of them do it. And maybe when they're playing for those 2 hours, they have their favorite streamer pulled up in a second monitor or something playing the same game, but they're only putting, an hour, 2 hours in a night. Some days they're skipping it because something else came up. That's how normal human beings exist. These streamers, though, they are playing 12 hours a day, maybe more, 7 days a week, especially around launch time. And they are no-lifing it, and they are grinding with other high-level players who are also no-lifing it. And so they learn every exploit, they learn every detail, they look up every hidden trick and every bug and everything. And it allows them to progress very, very quickly and to have cool gadgets for people watching their stream to see and be like, ooh, I want to get that eventually. But it gives them a very unrealistic, I feel, outlook on how the game works and the progression and how that feels. Like, I think, was it Shroud was making a comment also about needing new content in Arc Raiders after the game had been out for like 4 days. And it's like, bro, most people are going to take a month to get to where you are right now. Yeah, where's the content? There's no content. Exactly. It's like, dude, what you've done in a week, most players will take a month to do or more. Like, I'm glad that you played through the content and are having a great time, but like the drip of content that they've designed is for normal people. Like if they had enough content to keep a streamer satisfied, it would be so overwhelming for the average Joe that it would be probably a net negative, and it wouldn't be that useful. You'd want to steadily pace it out more reasonably. But that's the duality of gaming and designing games nowadays, is that they're trying to design games for streamers and for content creators, but then they're also trying to design games for the players at the same time. And sometimes they're not actually that, they don't cross over that well. Like sometimes they just don't. And then other times, the designers just straight up ignore the advice from both sides of the community. I'm vibing. Sorry, that's the wrong button. Like in the case of Marathon, like I said with Marathon, where they straight up were like, yeah, what would you guys say is like one thing you really hope to see added to Marathon? And we say proximity chat, and they're like, yeah, well, it's toxic, so we're not going to do that. It's like, okay, well, then why are you asking? But I think that what you've identified in your super chat, Luke, is very valid. There's a lot of games that certainly take a lot more inspiration and take more nods from the streamer side of their audience and community than maybe the normal player. Because I've felt that too, where it's like I just don't feel like I have the energy to no life it to the degree I would need to be competitive. It's what made me fall off of games like Warzone. I used to play a lot of Warzone. I used to play a lot of Apex. I grinded out Apex Legends arenas for a while doing ranked. I loved those. And it eventually got to the point where I was like, dude, I feel like I have to spend 4 hours, 5 hours a day, a mixture of gameplay and then also looking up the metas and stuff just to keep up. I just can't do that. I just can't. And I think a good number of other people have felt similar things, but I think Arc Raiders so far has done a really good job of it. I mean, it's been out all of what, 3 weeks or something? Like, it's not been out that long, and they've already got new content dropping in, and we'll see how it goes over the next like 6 months, how that goes. But you know, hearing streamers complain that they've already reached max level and they've run out of stuff to do, it's like, bro, I would love to see the stats, but I'm guessing the average player is still like level 5. Like I would really, really be shocked if the average player is a lot higher than that. I think it's the same thing with like the average Call of Duty player or average Fortnite player. Like their KDs are 0.6, 0.5. That's like the average player, the normal player, which suggests that a solid half of that population is below that point too. You know, level 3 here. Yeah, you play a little bit. You're like, yeah, I like it. I'm having a good time. But like most people are not no life in games. You know, they play for a couple hours and then they move on. So I would agree that studios should not just design stuff to cater to the people playing for 12 hours a day, because it's just not realistic. Yeah. Elron says streamer has other goals than gamers. They want the game to suit their needs and don't care what the gamer wants. Well, I mean, ultimately all anybody can do is describe their perspective. It's frankly kind of, it can be cringe when people are trying to like take on somebody else's perspective when they have either been so far out of touch with that perspective for so long that they don't know what they're talking about, or something else. But like, if I want to know what the average gamer's day-to-day is like, or what they want out of a game, I'm probably not going to chat with like a multi-giga millionaire like Ninja, you know, because I think he's been so out of that realm for so long, because he's been a streamer for so long and has been so rich for so long, not working like the 9 to 5. He probably would struggle to put himself in the shoes of your average gamer, right? He's not the guy you talk to for that perspective. You talk to him for the perspective of a professional streamer, and that's okay. That's what he is. Don't pretend like, you know, you're something that you're not. And I'm not saying Ninja does that. I'm just using him as an example of a very successful streamer who's been doing it for a long time. So I don't have any problem with streamers describing what they want out of a game. My problem is if that's what the developers go for, because that's not what the average gamer is looking for. That's not what they want, you know. Yeah, I have time to no life multiplayer games like Battlefield 6 and Arc Raiders, but I don't want to burn out of or finish everything and have nothing to work towards in game. Well, and at this point, this is also the very specific thing with Arc Raiders right now, is that we are very early in its lifespan. It just came out a matter of weeks ago. And so it's really easy for us right now to, maybe not really easy, but if you are somebody that can know life and can grind out a ton of time, you could get through this and finish the content within that 2 to 3 week period, and you get to the end game and then you're just kind of chilling. In a year, there will be enough updates and expansions and stuff that you're going to really struggle to blast through that quickly, you know. And once you get 2 years into the lifespan, there's just a ton of content that keeps people engaged, but it just takes time. And right now we're at that weird point where the game just came out. They're getting their feet under them. They laid the foundation. They're making sure everything's running right. And now they're building it up from there. And now they're struggling with the added complexity of, like, you know, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, the whole burnt peanut wars. Like, I guarantee you they did not see this coming. They did not think that this was going to be something they would have to juggle when they put the game together. I do not think this was on their list.
You have chosen the right side of history. Boys, line up! Arms and ready! 3, 2, 1, let them have it! I got the crossfire
and died instantly.
If you have
I do not think they ever anticipated that this would be an element of their like sort of close sci-fi extraction shooter, that their game would be led by a burnt peanut VTuber. But that's where we are. That's where we are. Ninja's actually one of the more base ones, actually. I think he's at the point of his career where he's just like, yeah, screw it. Which I respect. I like that. He's got FU money, you know? He can say whatever he wants, do whatever he wants. And I appreciate it. Hunter, thank you for the super chat. Is the Guerrilla Horizon multiplayer game going to be only on console? Because if they release it also on PC, it will compete with Horizon multiplayer game. My understanding is that it is going to be on PlayStation 5 and PC, just like Marathon. That's my understanding. So, yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Ninja, hold on. You said he's one of the more based ones?
Tim, what do you think of the new Call of Duty?
Honestly, no ad.
No ad.
I think if you like Call of Duty multiplayer, it will be a good Call of Duty that you will like. That's my answer. I think that the multiplayer COD experience is a good Call of Duty.
No ad?
Tim, what do you think of the new Call of Duty?
Honestly, no ad.
No ad.
I think if you like Call of Duty multiplayer, it will be a good Call of Duty that you will like. That's my answer.
That's how we all felt. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Oh man, that's pretty good. Oh. It is funny. Like, I respect it. You're living the dream. If you what's this? If you are making a living doing gaming content, I have no problem with people doing sponsorships. Obviously, you got to make that bank, you got to make that money, provide for you and yours. I respect it. But like, if you're sponsored to play Call of Duty and the Call of Duty game is ass, it's a little funny. It's a little fun. Like, we get to make a little fun. Okay, it's a little funny. It's a little fun. Just like if I get sponsored to go and play that Horizon multiplayer game, they're like, of all the people on this planet, can you imagine if they passed over Jor and they come to me and they're like, hey, would you like a sponsorship? That would be so funny. That'd be really funny. But imagine if they came out and they were like, hey, Luke, come play the Horizon multiplayer game. And they offer me $1 million. And I'm like, for $1 million, you can gorilla my Horizon, if you know what I mean, you know, for $1 million dollars, sure. And like, I go play it, and let's say the game launches and it's total ass. You guys would be allowed to make fun of me for it, you know? This makes like a fart sound. Yeah. You'd be allowed to make fun of me. That would be totally justified. Totally justified. You know? And I'd be okay with it. I'd be okay with it. That's the thing with like Tim, you know, he's making good money. Do it again. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, them's the rules. Them's the rules. We're just talking about video games at the end of the day. It's not that serious. But if you play a crappy game and it's sponsored, we get to make fun of you. Yeah, them's the rules. Yeah, like Jor with Mind's Eye. Yeah, and then he laughs it off. We have a good time. Jor, to his credit, he went above and beyond with that one. Jor went and he offered refunds to anybody who bought the game because of his video. Like, he went above and beyond. Good for Jor on that one. And he was not following the drama like I was, so he didn't realize how much of a dumpster fire and red flag that game was. If they had reached out to me to sponsor it, I would have been like, really? Interesting. But It's why I always, you'll notice in all of our sponsored, like I tried videos, I say at the top, I'm like, we have put in writing in black and white on the contract before we sign it. I have to be allowed to say whatever I want to say, positive or negative. In every video we've done that's sponsored, that is the deal. And if they don't like that deal, that's fine. Like I told you guys, I have turned down this year alone over 6 figures in sponsored videos from games that did not agree to that term. 6 figures. Imagine what I do for 7. 6 figures. Turn that down because they would not agree to let me say whatever I want to say. And so often, if we get to the point where we're doing a sponsored video, it's because they are confident. Like they're not going to agree to let me say whatever I want, positive or negative, unless they're really confident in what they got. So usually we only end up doing sponsored videos for like pretty good games because the bad ones don't want to risk it. You know, they don't want to risk paying to sponsor a video and then also get lit up in the video, you know, which I respect. I'm like, I wouldn't want to spend money. If your game is hot donkey ass, you should not pay me to talk about it. Like, I'll talk about it for free, baby, if it's that bad. You know, like, what are you doing? Yeah. Yep, you got to make multiple 6 figures on better games. Well, I mean, it's just like some of the games, dude. Some of the games that reach out they would blow your mind. They would blow your mind. Because it's also like the trashiest ones that have like they've got no chill. So they're like, hey, we're going to sponsor you, but you have to say that this is the best game you've ever played. They're like, you have to, in your video, say that you think that the characters are sexy and glowing with style. It's like, I'm sure you're making ridiculous amounts of money on this game, but like, I'm not going to, like, no, you don't get to tell me what I say. I don't tell you what you say. Like, what are we doing? It's crazy. There was one which was just like straight up a porn game. Yeah, like like 53 says. It was straight up just like a porn simulator game. And they reached out, and also the rate was hilariously low. It was, and weirdly specific. It was like $202.13, and I was like, bro, no. But it was like one of those Chinese whatever sweatshop games, and but they also in the email were like, yeah, and we just need you to hit these bullet points. Say it's the best game you've ever played. Say you love the characters and they're super sexy. And like they went through all of that, and it was like, who's saying yes? You're emailing this out. Somebody's saying yes. I want to find those videos. Like, I really, really want to find the videos of the guys that did take that and made the video. I think it'd be so funny. I should actually, maybe that's what I do. Maybe we do a whole segment where it's like, I found obscure sponsored videos for terrible games and we watch those. I bet they'd be funny. We should totally do that. Yeah, that's totally gross. What game is that so I can avoid it? Exactly, Kyle. We should do that. That's a good idea. Okay, I'm logging that in my head. I'll try to dig up some of those and we can do a whole segment. I think that'd be funny. Yeah. Did I play it though? No, I did not play it or either of the 4 acts of the game. I did not even get to the extended final act, which was like really graphic. I did not play it, and even if I did, I would have run into a bug towards the end of the game, and it would have been a waste of time. So no. Can you imagine? Okay. Real quick, Zephyrus tweeted this out. Ubisoft Bordeaux, which just did the AC Mirage DLC update and everything, they're currently working on an unannounced project, as revealed on a developer's LinkedIn. Dude, it's always the junior developer every time. And it's always LinkedIn too. Always LinkedIn. I think this is the Assassin's Creed codename Stardust, which is rumored to be the AC1 remake and might release in 2027 for the franchise's 20th anniversary. and apparently has been working on it for 2 months. 2 months. This was previously revealed. Again, we don't know exact specifics of it, but this is very interesting. What's also interesting is that Bordeaux apparently is not part of Vantage Studios. They're technically outside of it, which is so weird because Vantage Studios is over here and they have like Montreal, Quebec, all those studios. And then they also have like Ubisoft over here. Ubisoft licensed over, or I guess licensed over Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, all those IP. But then Ubisoft still has its own studios like Bordeaux, which are doing these games, but then they're like using the IP that they licensed over here. So is it licensing and then licensing back down? I don't understand it. It's very, very confusing. But apparently they're working on it now that they have finished the Valley of Memory, I believe is what it's called, DLC for Mirage, a free DLC update, which apparently is very good. They also, this is like the most encouraging thing, DLC is this it? Maybe just cutscene. They have returned to using a lot of motion capture, which is something they did not do for AC Shadows like at all. It was really, really frustrating that they used basically no mocap for that entire game. It was really annoying. But apparently this new DLC expansion has a good amount of motion capture as well, and it looks way, way better. So I really hope for AC Hexe that they lean into mocap a lot, because I swear to God, the like static robot animations, I just can't even, you know? What's going on with Jade? Literally no one knows. I've talked to people who work at Ubisoft on Assassin's Creed, and they're even like, because it's not technically them. It's technically, dude, I just realized our clips channel has a clip that just did 100,000 views. What? Where'd it go? Here, what? Dude, it did 105,000. Shout out to Trevor. Jesus. What a clip for that to do that. That's crazy. Shout out Trevor. Subscribe to our third channel if you haven't already, by the way. You get all these clips that don't make it onto the live channel. But what's happening with Jade? No one knows. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. You can see the top video. What happened? This was a year ago. And we're like, what happened? Where is it? This was shown off at Gamescom 2023. Still MIA. Tencent took a lot of the developers off of it and sent them over to work on their Fall Guys clone that they have for Chinese markets. Yeah, but nobody knows. Nobody knows. The understanding is that the game is basically done and that it's just kind of sitting on the sidelines. People wondered maybe it was being held for like some sort of negotiating leverage or something with the Guillemot family. And so Tencent was basically like, we have this done. We'll put it out and you'll make lots of money on it if we get this, this, and this. Otherwise, we'll just sit on it and won't do anything with it. Who knows? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me because I think Tencent's going to make a lot of money on it. I don't know. It could be that they are deciding to also port it to PC. It could be that they made some big creative change. It could be, who knows? Who knows? But it's really bizarre. It's really bizarre. AC Jade is mobile, right? Yeah. Everything you're seeing is the mobile game. Like, and I've not played it, but there was a play test that happened, and it was weird. They invited me and Joraptor to the play test, and then they just never invited us. So like we never got access to the game. The playtest happened and they never sent us codes or anything. It was really weird. We were in like the Discord server for it and they just never got around to getting us the game. It was really stupid. But I did see people that very naughtily captured footage and recorded the footage of their phones while playing. And it does look like this. Like, it straight up looks like probably AC Odyssey on low settings, but that's still very good. I mean, it looks like this, but on your phone. It's pretty ridiculous. And it controls like this. It's a full AC game, but mobile. It's pretty crazy. What's with all the magic stuff? It is, I mean, speaking of AC Odyssey, it's definitely more fantasy than like Shadows was. Shadows, they tried to go back and be much more grounded, and this is much more fantasy than anything else. That's impressive AF for a mobile game. Dude, Tencent and a lot of these Chinese developers with their mobile games are ridiculous. They're ridiculous. They're very good at it. The games are so scalable. It's insane. I don't understand how they do it. I won't pretend to understand how to do it, but it's absolutely crazy. So yeah, long story short, what happened with it? Nobody knows. It's somewhere. It's missing. We should see it at some point, probably next year. But they literally could shadow drop it at any time. It's just weird because it seems like they are sitting on it for some reason. But it's like a full AC game. And they took devs off of it to put on something else. And I don't know. Maybe they thought they weren't going to make enough money with the like licensing problems that they had. I don't know, man. I don't know. Do not redeem it. After Where Winds Meet, nothing surprised me anymore. Yeah, dude. Where Winds Meet is also crazy. I also bookmarked this. Let me see. In case you haven't seen it. Apparently there is a ship in the game. There's a ship in the game where it's roughly $40,000 to get it. I think through polls or something. I don't think it's even polls. I think it's literally just a whale can spend stupid money on this ship. Maybe I can find it. Can I find it? Where were Winds Meet 40K boat? Somebody actually bought the $42,000 boat. Is this it? Let's see. In fact, depending on who you ask, the real cost may actually be to reach it may actually be 60,000, but more on that later. How does the pricing work? Oh, does this explain?
The Mirage Boat and the Celestial Skin. You can only get the Celestial Skin by owning the Mirage Boat, which makes it very rare. And if you don't know, the Mirage Boat takes about 170 Mirage torrent pages to craft.
Okay, so this does explain it. Okay, let's do this. News segment. So it started going viral that Where Winds Meet, which is a crazy and very impressive free-to-play game, it is only monetized through cosmetics. And the idea behind a lot of these games is that the whales will provide. That's the idea. The whales will provide. And so this story started going around. This started going a little viral. This magical boat event in Where Winds Meet is server-wide and started by a person who bought it for around $40,000. Every player on the boat gets rewards, XP, and mini games. One whale funds the game with a cosmetic and everyone benefits from it. And the idea is basically that so much spending is concentrated by just a few players that they just embrace it. And they put a freaking $40,000 ship in the game, and one whale can buy it, get all of the crazy benefits of it, and can share it with all the players who don't have all the money to do it. And I believe that's the player who bought it. It's that one, I think. But if you happen to be in the server when this event kicks off, you can go up there and you can enjoy the event and get the benefits of it because one generous benefactor decided to spend all the money. And how this works apparently is it's a little convoluted, But this this TikTok explains it for us so that we can appreciate how this is achieved.
Expensive skin on the most expensive mount in
Here. Oh, whoops.
most expensive skin on the most expensive mount in Where Winds Meet. The Mirage Boat and the Celestial Skin. You can only get the Celestial Skin by owning the Mirage Boat, which makes it very rare. And if you don't know, the Mirage Boat takes about 170 Mirage Torrent pages to craft, which each page costs us 1 harmonic orb. That is one of those pity orbs, for those that don't know, that cost around $330. On average, the Mirage Boat costs around $40,000 USD, which makes this the $40,000 skin. So let's enjoy this party of luxury while wearing a 40k skin. On the boat, it does give you tons of EXP for just chilling at the party. You can play music, sit on a swing, dance.
So you have a lot of grinding to do. But once you do the grinding and spend ridiculous amounts of money, you can craft the boat and get access to it. And apparently this is the player that they found who grinded this out, spent a ridiculous amount of money, and got access to the boat and shared it with the server. It's crazy. But it is true, like historically, I think, I forget the exact study, but we looked at it on stream one time. The number of players that are actually buying into microtransactions is actually way lower than you'd think. It's something crazy like 97% of players don't spend a penny on free-to-play games. And then it's like 2 to 3% are spending, you know, maybe $20 a month. And then the whales kick in, and the odds of them spending hundreds or thousands skyrockets. But that's the thing is, if you have 1/10 of 1% of players that are spending $10,000 a month in your game, that subsidizes everybody else. The same amount of money is being spent as if everybody paid $10 or $20 to get in. But because it's all concentrated at the top, it means that the player base can be massive because they're being subsidized by the high tier players who are spending a ton of money. And in this case, you have somebody who's willing to spend $42,000 on a cosmetic and a boat for a little event. I don't know if they're a crypto millionaire, or I low-key, I always wish, and part of me hopes that this is actually like, you know, a really successful businessman. Like, what if Jeff Bezos actually has an addiction to like mobile games and he spends millions? Like, that to me is just funny to think about, that these people are from all different walks of life. They have money from something. Most likely they're like the son of a billionaire who just was given the family credit card and can do whatever. But part of me really hopes and dreams that one day it's revealed that, like, you know, Bill Gates has a crippling addiction to Candy Crush, because I just feel like it would be the great equalizer, you know? I guarantee it's not, but somebody probably going bankrupt. Well, that is one thing. I mean, there's lots of people who do not have the money and are literally just raking up credit card bills and declaring bankruptcy to get out of it because they have a crippling gambling addiction to like doing polls in mobile games and stuff. So that certainly does happen. But then there's also certainly people who just genuinely have a lot of money and this is how they choose to spend it. I don't get it personally, but who am I to tell you what you can and can't do with your money, you know? I'd say go buy an actual boat for $42,000, but what are you gonna do? Or a plant? Oh, do you mean like an actual plant, like a bush, or do you mean like they're planted by the devs to excite people to get them to spend money? Probably. I mean, there's such a thing as priming the tip jar, so I'm sure they have like developers accounts that they give access to some of this crazy stuff. It's Gabe 100%. Gabe, that would be funny if this was Gabe. He's on his yacht, no-lifing this. That would be funny. But it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But you know what? At least with this game, they're embracing it and they're like, yeah, no, if the whales want to fund the entire game, let's give them something to waste money on. Let's go for it. And to their credit, they make it free for everybody else to access the whale, and the whale's benefit, so everybody gets to enjoy it without having to spend a penny on it. The whale can spend all the money, and then everybody else who's just playing the game and is just enjoying all the free content, they benefit from the whale bankrolling the whole thing. So there you go. I will say, if you've not checked out Where Winds Meet, they just hit a new player peak record on Steam. I do recommend you check it out because it's actually, again, insane as far as like free games are concerned. It's ridiculous. I've talked about it before. It's just genuinely crazy. And because it's free, it's like, yeah, even if it's mediocre, it's still free. But it's actually pretty damn good and free. And it's a vibe. It's a good time. I was playing it the other day and I hit another boss fight that was just absolutely crazy. What's this? Michael says, Call of Duty execs said it's too big to fail. Well, Black Ops 7 said hold my beer. Down 61% UK retail sales according to Black Ops, or compared to Black Ops 6. Down 63% European sales compared to Battlefield 6, which was not even on the same level as what Call of Duty traditionally is. So that's really bad. Worst Japanese COD launch ever. Activision totally silent on sales performance, which historically they don't tend to be that silent. Historically, they come out and they talk about how many players are involved, how full the servers are and stuff like that. And this year they just haven't. It's very, very weird. It's not good. Luke's the whale. I'm very, very thankful. I'm very, very thankful that I have a non-addictive personality. My problem is that I'm not addicted enough. Like, it's really hard for me to start like routines and habits. So if I'm like, what's an example? If I'm like, oh, I want to go to the gym 3 times a week, 4 times a week, it is very hard for me to build that up. Like it's very hard. Some people, they start it, it's the routine, they get hooked on it immediately and they're good. Same with like, I understand going to the gym maybe isn't that addictive for most people, but like I do not struggle with addiction with drinking or with games or with anything. I just, my brain doesn't work that way. And I'm thankful because I know people who do struggle with it, and it can be nice because they can get super obsessed with like a game and no life it. But for me, my brain does not work that way. But it's also true of the flip side where they get easily addicted to other stuff. You know, they go and they're at a party and they're like, oh yeah, I'll try a cigar at the party, and they try a cigar and all of a sudden that's their whole thing, you know. Hyperfixation definitely bleeds all over the place. Yeah, you gotta be careful. Gothic remake drama. What's the Gothic remake drama? I see Gothic demo. It's hitting all the right medieval fantasy RPG notes. Ugly characters. I mean, he's pretty he's just fine. What do you mean? He looks awesome. He looks delicious. Delicious. Oh, Romeo's doing his right outside the window. Well, I think he can hear me. He's about to see his first snow. Romeo has never seen snow before because he was born in March. So he's never seen snow before. And it's supposed to snow, I think, on Saturday. And I'm very excited because I think he's gonna love it. First time puppy seeing snow. It's great. You can just barely hear him. Lol. Okay, but you can't. Yeah. Well, he's a hound, so when he barks, it's the yeah. Now he hears me. He's like, "Are you mocking me?" Oh, fella. Okay. Yeah, I pulled up some of the Gothic stuff. I don't know. I'm tired, boss. I'm tired, boss. I just don't have this. I don't have the stamina to go through to go through all that. We need a Romeo cam, Dad. Well, my hope is that as he gets older and we keep working on his training and he mellows out a little bit, I want to be able to bring him down here to hang out. It's tough because I'm in the basement, so he can't really just like run outside real quick and go potty and come back if he wants to. We can't really do that. But like I have a bed. It's actually in the other room because I had him in there when I was working on some D&D stuff the other day. But he I think will get there. It's just right now he's a puppy, you know. He's just a puppy. You need a collar for that. Yeah, I found a dog trainer. His name's Hassan. He's really good. No, he's just right now he's big. He's like 70 freaking pounds, but he's only 8 months old. So he's an 8-month-old puppy that weighs 80 pounds, or not 80, 70 pounds. And so he's just huge. He's huge and he's a puppy. And so he just doesn't realize how big he is. And so he gets in trouble. And so like I had him down here the other night when I was playing games, and he just at one point was like, I want cuddles. So like I'm just playing like this, and he comes up and like tries to climb on my lap like he did when he was a puppy, but he weighs 70 pounds and he's like this big when he's on my lap, and it just didn't work. So like he's a sweetie, but he just has not realized how big he is. And also when he's down here, he tries to go searching for stuff. And so he starts sniffing around and he's trying to dig around and stuff. And, you know, he's doing his best to try and protect me from monsters and from whatever else might be down here. He doesn't know because he needs to find it. But yeah, he's a good guy. He's not the kind of dog right now that can chill when I'm trying to also do something here. You know, he's the kind of dog that kind of needs a little bit more involved attention, you know. Needs a little more attention. He can't be trusted so very much. I tried to trust him on the deck the other day, and he destroyed one of our cushions out there that was on this like couch thing we have. The neighbor came and knocked on the door and was like, yeah, I was on my back patio and I saw your dog is he's having a great time back there. And I was in the kitchen, so I was like, I didn't hear anything. But then I paused and I was like, I didn't hear anything. I always hear Romeo. Romeo's loud. And he went quiet. What is he doing? So I went to the deck and I checked, and this couch cushion, he had demolished it, gutted it totally. But that's why he was quiet. He was focused. You know, he's working so hard on it. He's a hard-working guy. Yeah. Learn my lesson. He can't be trusted with couch cushions yet. Yeah. Luke, I literally have the same thing, but with a German Shepherd. I can relate so much. Yeah, I love him so much. He just, sometimes I'm like, why? But he's such a cuddle bug. He's such a cuddle bug. At night, there's like a 50% chance that he wakes up at like 11 p.m. And all he wants are cuddles. So he just like, arr, arr, and you go over, and then he just cuddles and nuzzles and then goes and lays back down. It's very sweet. He's a good guy. I'm surprised that will make you lose your hair at the Game Awards. But that's like realistic, not something that's just like totally out of left field. I think I would be really excited if they dropped like the Black Flag remake trailer and it actually looked really good. Like imagine it goes, Jeff does his like an update from a big studio that is an update to a game we all know and love or something. And then the screen goes black. It flashes the Ubisoft logo. It goes black again. And then you just hear one of those sea shanties. Like, start to kick up.
Our boots and our clothes, boys, are all in the horn. To me, rollicking randy dandy, oh. Heave a pole, oh, heave.
And then they start showing like fully updated graphics and it looks really good. Like, if that happened, all bets are off. Yeah. Yeah, I just hope it doesn't suck. I hope so bad it doesn't suck. I'm praying. I'm praying. They know they need a win. They know they need a win. And this is such like a layup. Just hit it right out of the park. You know, just, it could be so easy. But it's inevitably, and I'm telling you now, there will be a split. No matter how good it looks graphically or whatever, there will be a split because there's going to be people who disagree with the direction regardless of which way they go. If they rework stuff so that it's more modern gameplay wise, so it's a hitbox combat system as opposed to the pair animation combat system, there's going to be people upset about that. If they get rid of the trailing missions, there's going to be people upset about that. And if they keep them, there's going to be people upset about it because it feels outdated. If they keep the whaling excuse me, if they keep the whaling missions, there's going to be probably a lot of people very happy. And if they get rid of them to satisfy PETA, there's going to be lots of people upset. But, you know, if they keep them, PETA will be upset. So there's just, no matter what you do, you're going to upset people. And with Ubisoft, they have this remarkable talent for generating content around the people that hate them. And so I think the odds are pretty high that no matter what happens, there will be drama. But I just hope that the game is good at the end of the day. Yeah, they'll upset somebody regardless, no matter what. Well, that's why I'm saying shadow drop it. It's better for my business, personally, if they do like a long marketing cycle. I get it. And I'm telling you that up front. But I'm telling you that up front so that you know it's better for me if they straight up like do something that's just shadow drop. Don't give people like the chance to be upset about it. You know, that's the key. That's the key. And then as for like other hopium wishes and dreams for announcements, absolute most hoped would be I don't think we see Witcher 4, and it's also been announced it's coming. Anything from Larian would be crazy cool. Seeing Corey's new game would be really cool. I think Clockwork Revolution dropping would be cool. The new BioShock, yeah, I think that's a long way off now that it was basically restarted. But yeah, new BioShock would be cool. Something with Judas, even just Judas shadow dropping, that would be really cool. Warhorse next plans, that would be awesome too if they had anything to share. Probably be a long shot, but that would be really cool. What else is there? Saints Row reboot. Guys, this time we've got it. This time we really know what we're doing.
At Sonic Core donated $10 through Super Chat. What big franchises and or games do you think are waiting to release their next title for 2027-28 for when all next-gen consoles have released? We'll have a whole new gen of consoles across the board.
I personally think we won't see next-gen consoles until 2028. Especially now with all the RAM stuff going on, I would expect probably 28 is more likely than 27. But I think the games that will time out pretty well for that are going to be like the next version of the big open world Assassin's Creed, for example. The Witcher 4, I think, is going to be cross-generational. I think there's a strong argument to be made that Elder Scrolls 6 probably ends up being next-gen or cross-gen. Something those land there. Obviously, whatever Rockstar does after GTA 6 is going to land next-gen. Larian's next game is probably next-gen. Cyberpunk 2 probably also. Should be a good number. Yeah, there should be a good number that land around there. God of War, yeah, like I said earlier in the stream, I don't think we see the next God of War like mainline title until almost certainly until next gen. Like I think that we will see the spin-off game. We could see the spin-off game at the Game Awards, honestly. That would not shock me at all. Now somebody's going to report on that. Reportedly, God of War spin-off game is going to be at the Game Awards, says Luke Stevens. No, I would not be surprised, though, if that were dropped there or something. Oh, I just heard something. I just heard like a yell. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to go check, make sure everything's okay. I just heard something upstairs. I want to make sure the family's cool, okay? Give me a second. I'm gonna go make sure. I'll be back. I'll play some sea shanties for you.
You're ready to sail for the Horn. Way, hey, roll and go. Our boots and our clothes, boys, are all in the porn. To be rollicking randy dandy, oh. Heave a port, oh, heave away. Way, hey, roll and go. The anchor's on board and the cable's all stored. To be rollicking randy dandy, oh. Hey. Soon we'll be warping her out through the locks. Way, hey, roll and go. Where the pretty young girls all come down in their frocks. To be rollicking randy dandy, oh. Heave a port, oh, heave away. Way, hey, roll and go. The anchor's on board and the cable's all stored. To be rollicking randy dandy, oh. Come breast the bars, bullies, heave her away. Way, hey, roll and go. Soon we'll be rolling her down through the bay. To be rollicking randy dandy, oh. Heave a port, oh, heave away.
Okay, I'm back.
Way, hey, roll and go. The anchor's on board and the cable's all stored. To be rolling.
Apparently I'm just psychotic because I went up there and I was like, is everything okay? She's like, yeah. It's like, I could have sworn I heard like a yell or a shout or something, but apparently I'm just like losing my mind. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. Cancel me. I don't care. I did see somebody just tag me in this. Detective Seeds, Intergalactic Heretic Prophet. I reached out to Naughty Dog Contact through LinkedIn and asked them a couple questions, something crazy. Game in scope is 2x larger than The Last of Us Part 2 was. We already knew this was large. Game is targeting 2027, but it's a fluid target at the moment. Localization complete time frame is on par with The Last of Us Part 2, has begun in most languages, but some have not started yet. Can confirm this through job openings and deeper RPG elements where decisions will impact parts of the game. Naughty Dog wanted to do this to open their players to deeper immersion in the story. Interesting. I don't know if it's true. Because I didn't talk to the people on LinkedIn, and the people on LinkedIn could be misinformed, but still that could be interesting if it's true. All of that pretty much though is in line with what we've already heard from other sources, and so that's not super surprising. Okay, check super chats. Yeah, let me see. Lonely Face, thank you for the 5. Could we see Marvel 1943 or G.I. Joe game at the Game Awards? Well, now that it's been delayed out of spring 2026, I don't know what to believe with the Marvel 1943 thing. Like, who knows? Who knows? I half suspect that thing gets canceled out of nowhere. I hope not, but at this point, like, it's been delayed so much. What are we doing? Like, who knows? Intergalactic Biscuit. Oh, as for G.I. Joe game, I'm not sure. That could be crazy. Intergalactic Biscuit, thing for the 5. Hey, Luke, I'd prefer these big studios make fun, new original games instead of clinging to the success of past with remakes. Arc Raiders, for example. Yeah, I think when PlayStation's I think it was his CEO, Hiroki Totoki. I think he was the one who said that he thought they could have more original IP. He thought that they could do a better job of building new IP. They tried to do that with Concord. So their track record's mixed, but they're working on it. But I agree, some new things would be good. Let's see. Kyle says, just don't take dog training advice from Hassan. Noted. Yeah, you gotta be careful. Jax, thank you for the sub with Prime as well 10 minutes ago. Thank you for that. Squadron 42 release date. Dude, I think they said Squadron 42 was supposed to release in 2026. Let me see if I can find it. But they basically said, he was like, yeah, we're trying our hardest to get the target hit. So yeah, yeah. Star Citizen fans sigh deeply, rub their foreheads as developer casts doubt on Squadron 42's 2026 release date. Yeah, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna, I don't know if we're gonna make it. And he then tried to address it, and he said that he was like saying, we literally don't know what the future holds for any of us. Like, I guess that's like one way of saying it, where it's like, oh, well, we just know we might all explode or the world might end before then. Like, okay, you're kind of saving it. I get the vibe his boss was like, what did you say? You can't suggest we're going to get delayed. And so he tried to save it that way. That's what it seems like to me. But yeah, I feel like if you are known for delaying your game constantly and not hitting targets, and then you put a very clear date on it, 2026, and then you say, yeah, I don't know if we're going to make it. Because the original full quote was, yeah, the team is head down. We drew a line in the sand when we said 2026. I don't know if we're going to make it. I just know we're going to do every single possible thing to make it. And part of that is not taking time for the distraction of CitizenCon. So, like, that's pretty clear to me. You're like, I don't know if we're going to make it the 2026 date. So who knows? I would not be surprised, though, if it's delayed out of 26. Shocking, I know. Intergalactic Biscuit, thank you for the 5 as well. I heard there might be another Xbox price increase. Have you heard anything about this? Yeah, we looked at it earlier in the stream. We actually did a whole segment about the RAM prices and everything. And yeah, it sounds like it's probably going to happen. My suggestion to them, let inventory run out. Just let Xboxes be sold out everywhere. Do it that way. Because I swear the PR nightmare that will come from raising prices again, you could end up with a Series X that costs $800 for the base model, and the 2 terabyte costs $1,000. Like, before the end of the year, you could have that. In the next couple of weeks, you could have that. That's what we're talking about. So, like, I think that they should just let it sell out. Don't stock it. Don't make them. Don't manufacture them. Just let it ride. Let it ride. And then apparently PlayStation will be fine because they stockpiled enough DDR5 RAM that they should be fine. So, yeah, we'll see. How much did they spend on this game so far? They've almost raised $900 million. How much they've spent, I don't have the exact number, but yeah, a lot. Okay. Well, fam, I'm going sell out. You're funny. Like, technically, it's sold out. Technically, there's none available for sale. Exactly. They can be like, yeah, we're very proud. Xboxes are sold out everywhere. Haven't manufactured one in 6 months, but still. Okay. Guys, I will leave it there. I'm going to go up and I am on dad duty while Nikki runs to the gym. So I'm going to call it there. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks for chilling with me. Sorry, I'm sorry, right as you arrive is when I'm ending the stream. I'm sorry. But thank you for hanging out with me. Watch the VOD if you are just getting here. I appreciate the gosh darn heck out of every single one of you. And I'll see you in the next video, okay? Much love. We'll be back on stream on Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so don't you worry. I will see you then, okay? Much love. Much love. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.